welcome back to the Fast Travel Lounge. Sit down, pour yourself a drink, grab yourself some snacks, and enjoy listening to friends talk, laugh, and argue about all the latest gaming and general pop culture news. My name is Patrick. I'm once again joined by what I've already described in the description as friends, Seth, Steve, and Josh. We should plug that we have socials now. You can find us on Facebook at Fast Travel Lounge and Twitter at Fast Travel Lounge Missing and L. I don't know whether that's from the end of travel or the start of lounge, but I'm sure you will find us there if you search hard enough. Welcome to episode 2. We made it through episode 1. We got a lot of feedback about the first episode, which was great. A lot of it was negative, which wasn't as good, but I've disabled the Wi-Fi on my mum's iPad, so we should be good to go from next week. We'll do a quick round the lounge so that listeners can get a little taste of what we have coming up in this episode. To start us off, I will mention what will be coming up from my section. I've been playing the new Deep Rock Galactic update after what was basically a 20-minute chill session from me last week, so you get to hear all about that. And then the majority of my time, I will be talking about my time at the Mexican festival of Forza Horizon 5. Josh, what about you? What will our lovely listener listen to you talk about, and why is it also Forza Horizon 5?
Yeah, definitely been playing Forza Horizon 5 quite a bit. Obviously landing in Mexico and going through there, so we'll talk about that. Played a little bit of the Deep Rock Galactic update as well, and then I've also completely beaten Voice of Cards within like 2 days because I have no self-control.
Awesome, looking forward to that. Steve, what's coming up in your show and tell segment?
Yeah, so I've been jumping into Planet Coaster, getting some serious roller coaster tycoon vibes from that. I've also gone back in time to finish up Dead Space 3 from what I started quite a journey on. That's pretty much it. That's all that's on my plate.
Fantastic. Our one lovely listener, I'm sure, will enjoy that discussion. And Seth, lucky last, what about you? What will you be treating our lovely listener to this episode?
So I've got to start watching some Animal Logic movies. So I've watched Peter Rabbit 1 and 2. And I've been killing cops in Buck Up and Drive and killing friends in Jack X.
Okay, that seems like as good a segue as we're going to get. Why don't you just start elaborating on the cops and friends that you've been killing this week?
Okay, so the first one I'll explain is the cops because, fuck the popo. But, yeah, so Buck Up and Drive is a game that's released pretty recently, within the past few months. It's only $8, but I'm a poor bitch, so I've only played the demo. Which contains five levels that you can go through. It's an endless driver based on Outrun, but instead of getting to an end goal, you just keep driving until you eventually just don't hit the end of a track. And it's the driftiest game I have ever seen. It really needs a Eurobeat soundtrack, but unfortunately it doesn't have one due to tech problems. It's also not going to be getting any updates in the future because of tech problems, which is unfortunate because the developer had a lot of plans to add more tracks, add more cars, update the music a bit. But yeah, so just based on the demo alone, this game is fantastic. You're just going around driving in a Ferrari, drifting around everywhere. The drifting builds up a turbo meter, which you can spend on either boosting or doing a hurricane attack. And doing either the boost or the hurricane attack will knock cars out of the way. And by doing that, you gain aggro from the police. And once the police start chasing you, you've got to use those attacks to knock out the police. Doing those obviously nets you more points because since this is an endless runner, you're aiming for a high score. And the more you go through, the more things you unlock. You just experience like grinding on rails with your car, driving through the air and doing front flips and back flips.
Whoa. Hang on. Grinding on rails with your car. What is this? Tony Hawk's Pro Skater Cars. What?
Yeah, can we wind back to that real quick?
Yeah, so you can go off a turbo pad that's angled for as a jump, and if you aim for it, you can just grind on the side rails of the road. And it does give you a hop off when you get to the end of the rail, so you can keep going back and forth between left and right rails if you're really skilled. And you can drift while grinding on the rails to build up the boost and the spin.
So I'm glad that you touched on that, because when you said that you have sort of effectively two power-ups by the sounds of it, you got boost, which I'm sure everyone that's played a racing game understands how boost and turbos and things work in a car. But you just kind of glossed over the hurricane attack aspect of this. What the hell is that?
It's just the car spinning in a circle.
And you don't slow down while spinning in a circle.
You do not slow down while spinning in a circle.
Do you have to yell Beyblade, Beyblade, let it rip while you make the spinning move, or is that optional?
Even better, there's just anime speed lines permanently around the screen.
Only if you're going
Great.
200 miles an hour.
Yeah, the kilometers that would well, not kilometers, but how they measure it in the speedo. I don't know if they call it a speedo. I think they call it something else in the game. But yeah, it's in fast per second, which is pretty great.
That's
you
great.
Also don't travel kilometers, you travel fastometers.
That's right, yep.
I see that this developer will also use anything except the metric system.
Yeah.
Clearly from the US.
Yeah, probably based in the US. So the other question I had is that you said there are different, or that you're on the same track, or that you want to unlock that the developer wanted to put in other tracks. But
right, yes.
So is it like a time trial thing where you keep going through gates and get a certain amount more time to make it to the next one, like the old arcadey style ones?
That's exactly it. But it's similar to Outrun, so that's when you finish a gate, it branches into two paths, and each path is another basically environment to look at and drive through. So for this demo, you start off in like a rocky wasteland area, then you can go to like a grassy area. Then I'm not sure, I can't remember what the third one is off the top of my head, sorry, but the last two are fantastic. One is you go to the fucking moon, and that's why it's called, the fucking moon. And the second one is Green Hill Zone from Sonic the Hedgehog.
Oh wow. Okay, that's a pretty cool integration. And so you say this is a demo. Is the full game, because I haven't heard anything about this, is the full game either out? Is this like an old game, or are you just playing the demo?
I was just playing the demo, but the full game is out. It's been out since August, and it's only $8.
Aha. Okay.
It's on the creator's itch.io page. And
it's a very 2D game as well. Like it's very flat and like pixel arty. It's not like not like Forza Horizon. Or
yeah,
something
it's very pixel arty, but it is in 3D models. It's like low poly 3D models with stylized graphics, like stylized textures.
Interesting.
Looks great though, especially for an $8 game.
Yeah, it's really fantastic.
Obviously, something that you'd be able to drift in. We all expect and want Eurobeat to be the soundtrack, but what is the soundtrack?
It's just a pretty generic rock sounding riff at the moment that it's like a 1 minute loop, unfortunately.
If you start running low on time to get to the next gate or checkpoint, does it play like low HP Gen 5 music or something to give a sense of urgency?
It does not, no.
That's disappointing.
Yeah, there's a few things this game could have done to touch up a bit more, but also for $8 and he's working with a very limited game engine. I can't complain a whole lot about it, but just on like a general game feel and gameplay level, it's really fun. And I'd also like to add in that this developer, just for the sake of it, one day he woke up and decided to throw in a fighting game mode into the game as well.
With the cars?
With the cars, yes.
With the cars.
It's just that you and another car driving down an endless road, drifting around each other, trying to do the boost or the spin into each other. You also have a guile flash kick if they jump over you to try and do a dive bomb onto you. It's a bit in depth for what it is.
You also have like a ranged attack where like you're drifting, right, and then you can kind of like shoot turbo flames out of the back of your car towards them.
Right. Yes.
It's pretty cool.
That's the hurricane move that was mentioned earlier. If you do it in the multiplayer mode, it throws a fireball at the opponent.
It's pretty cool. I was watching you play it for like an hour. It was definitely worth playing. I'll probably pick it up at some point.
Wow. Yeah. Sounds like something that I might also have to pick up.
Yeah, I'd highly recommend everyone at least try out the demo because it's not gonna hurt you. It's like 2 gigs at most for the demo.
Is it on Steam as well, or just on itch.io?
Just on itch.io. They did want to put it onto consoles and Steam, but because of those engine issues, they might not be able to anymore, which is very unfortunate.
I feel like a game that sells at full price for $8 is the cheapest that I've heard for it also having a demo.
Yeah, it's so the thing that separates the demo from the full game is that you get a lot less environment variety. Also, the police are way less aggressive in the demo, so I've made it through like 50 tracks before I lost. But they look way more intense in the full game. Like, so all I had to deal with when I was playing was that the cops would charge at me, or they would throw fines at me, which would lower my score. But in the full game, they start dropping red and blue shells behind them to try and hit you, and some of them will dive into the air and just do a dive bomb onto you.
And does it escalate like a GTA 5 style thing of, you get 5 stars and then they bring tanks, or is it just more?
I think it's every time you take out one, it moves on to the next rank because it keeps a counter next to you, down at the bottom next to your heat gauge, which is what would be your wanted level. And they just keep a badge there and a multiplier number for how many you've taken out. So it's like, you take one out, then it'll go up a level. You take two out, it goes up another level. And from what I've seen, I think it maxes out 4, but I could be wrong about that.
I think it's probably important just because it's so great to talk about some of the lines that it shows up when you actually take out the police. I don't remember them off the top of my head, but you would.
They have some pretty good ones, like just fuck the police and ACAB are in there. And they also have some trans visibility billboards, like they have trans flags, bi flags supporting them. Apparently, people have been complaining about it and asking, "Oh, why is this game so political?" And his response was just posting the J.K. Simmons laugh gif at them.
Excellent.
That's great.
I love how for an $8 game you get a side of political agenda.
Yeah, and it's pretty fine actually. Like, it's all in the background. He's not backing down against the people that complain about it. So honestly, he deserves my $8.
Yeah. There was also a billboard that I remember seeing as you drove past before, where instead of shell, it just says shill.
Yeah, it's a shell logo and it says shill.
I do like that one.
Oh, that's a good one. So do you reckon you'll be playing this game with a yellow jacket with a scorpion on the back?
God, yeah, Ryan Gosling is just me for real.
Guys, it's 2021. We have to talk about Baby Driver, not Drive.
Why not both? They
True.
are both me for real, I swear.
And I guess just like both of those movies, you've also been playing 2 games for the driving. So
yeah, so
Jack X.
that leads me into talking about Jack X, which is honestly probably my favorite racing game at this point. The only other real contenders are other type of kart racing games like Crash Team Racing or Sonic and All Stars Racing Transformed. I'm not really into sim races all that much. I do kind of like them, but I prefer the arcadey ones. But yeah, Jack X is just kind of something special. You take like the Mario Kart aspect, but you add in Twisted Metal on top of it, and it's just this chaotic mess of pure enjoyment.
How does it compare to a real kart racing game like Crash Tag Team Racing for the PSP?
Ooh, excellent question, Josh. Seth, your response.
Blows it out of the water because it has an actual proper story mode.
I don't know how to respond other than really.
Is it a good story mode though? Like, I can't imagine it's like a cohesive narrative.
No, it's actually a pretty good story mode. So it follows on from some plot points from Jak 2, where so in Jak 2, Jak works for this big underground mob boss, and without getting into spoilers for an almost 20-year-old game, let's just say that things happen. And now you're going to this funeral for him, and
the mob boss.
Yeah, for the mob boss.
Okay, cool.
Jak and friends are at a funeral for him, and he's in his will. He's like, "Oh, here's this bowl of wine that I want everyone to toast in my honor," and upon drinking it, the will says, "Ha, that's it. You've all been poisoned. Now you got to race for me, and so you can get the cure from my lackeys, basically."
I'm suddenly all in for this game. 10 out of 10 intro. What a twist.
Well, it's funny that you bring up the Twisted Metal, that it's got sort of Twisted Metal elements, because Twisted Metal, as I remember it, also had, I'm not going to say a good story, but it was a memorable story. both for the original titles and the remaster that they did in 2014?
2012, I think.
Oh, okay.
or
Maybe
maybe
2014 was a bit
2013.
late.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
remember that
but
Twisted Metal.
the late remaster where the final boss was just a it was like Waluigi pinball, but in like in like an arcade race in like a Twisted Metal setting. But it's cool that Jack, because I can't actually think of too many arcade races that have stories, just even in general.
Yeah, no, you don't get them often. Crash Team Racing had a few cutscenes, like just an intro and outro cutscene. I think Diddy Kong Racing had the same thing with just an intro and outro cutscene. But most of them
No,
are
Diddy Kong
just.
Racing's got a pretty good story. I remember. Well, actually, I went onto the Wikipedia page about a month ago to look it up.
Oh,
It
okay.
actually is quite. It's quite more in depth than what you think.
Oh, dang!
Or what has
I thought it was just like an intro and outro, and that was it.
Well, right. It's probably what it should have been. I'm not sure if it's any type of not a fever dream, but like it's definitely out there. You can definitely watch the Let's Play or someone playing Diddy Kong Racing to get all the story beats that you didn't know that you needed.
I may have to do that at some point just to catch up on arcade racing game stories.
Hmm.
What about the implied story in Mario Kart of Luigi's death stare to everyone he passes? He's the true protagonist of that game.
I wish there was as much story in Mario Kart as there was in that one stare.
It's so good.
It's so good, yes. Oh man, when are we getting a new Mario Kart?
Oh,
Mario
yeah.
Kart Ultimate next year. Prepare for it, lads.
But yeah, so also on top of those, there's also a little bit of burnout in inspiration in Jack X. So
Explain how.
before every event, you get those like Crash FM style radio things where they tell you about the event and what's going to be happening and what sort of event you're
I
going to.
loved those.
Yeah, those were great. Oh man.
When you destroy a car in a race or in a deathmatch or something, you get like you get like the slow motion kill cam. Same thing when you die, you get a slow motion blow up of your vehicle.
You've been blowing up Twitter with those.
Yeah, no, I put up some of my more fun clips from doing the story mode. I'm like 3/4 of the way through now. I'll probably end up finishing it tonight or tomorrow night just because I've been having a blast with it.
Well, I know that we've already just plugged the Fast Travel Lounge Twitter, but where would people go to find these clips on your Twitter?
They'd be at Kai_Burr, the same thing as my Twitch handle from the last episode.
Oh, cheeky double plug. I like it.
Yeah, go follow me on both of those. You'll regret the Twitter one.
Can confirm you will regret the Twitter.
Oh, you're supposed to tell them that in episode 3. Damn it. Oh well, cat's out of the bag.
It's the comeback arc.
What? Yeah. Oh shoot, there was going to be I did have a follow-up question.
Well, you're playing it on the PS5, right? By the way.
Yeah. I've been playing it on the PS5 because Sony released a handful of PS2 games on the PlayStation 4 store, and just because of that level of backwards compatibility the PS5 has, I can play it there.
That's what I was going to ask, because a lot of the older games, weirdly, not a huge number are coming to my mind now, but when I played racing games back on the PS2 as just a smaller version of myself now, you could often use either the D-pad or the analog stick. And I don't remember what age it was, but I used to prefer the D-pad when I was like younger, and then something happened, some monumental change, and then I switched to the left stick, like a normal development child. But I'm assuming that if this is a re-release for PS5, that you just use left analog stick.
I've just been using the left analog stick. I haven't actually thought about trying to touch the D-pad. I didn't even consider it at this point. But
thanks for that. I'd be curious if it works though.
There's actually a thing about that in that our Crash Team Racing speed runs and like doing the best at the game is actually D-pad is the most efficient way to do it for some reason.
This is why Crash Tag Team Racing is the better game. Just to throw that again out there.
You are making a lot of Crash fans very unhappy and mad at you.
I know. Suffer. All right. Anyway, moving on.
Just to cap off this Jack X segment, because honestly, I don't think I have a whole lot more to say on it now. I've just been really enjoying my time with it, and like, honestly, it's probably my favorite racing game revisiting it. But it amazes me that both times that Naughty Dog has made a racing game, it's been like this weird in-between project where they're just scrounging something together to get one more game out before their big next-gen push. So Crash Team Racing was between Crash 3 and Jack and Daxter. Jack and Daxter was taking a little bit to come out, and they just needed that extra game in between. And CTR is arguably one of the best kart races to ever come out. And Jack X was in between Jack 3 and Uncharted 1. Uncharted 1 was taking a while because PS3 development was hell. The PS3 got delayed an extra year, so they were really like, we can't take this extra year of no income. We really need to put something out. And they pump out Jack X, and it's fantastic and honestly a really good racing game. And God, Naughty Dog, please make Uncharted or The Fast of Us. We need one of those.
The Fast of Us.
Yeah, that's a fantastic. Like, that needs to happen just for the name alone.
Holy shit!
If that is the case, though, between what and what was Mario Kart 7 and Mario Kart 8, and when are we getting fabled Mario Kart 9?
I
We're
guess
getting Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Switch U Pro.
no. See, they already released Mario Kart 8 Deluxe after Mario Odyssey. So whatever the next major 3D Mario game is, it's gonna have to be after that.
It's just deluxe with 2 X's.
Ooh.
It's
Oh no,
Mario Kart
maybe
64.
maybe they'll just call it OLED Mario Kart 8 Deluxe.
Oh god, can you imagine?
You know, forget Mario Kart 9. Just give us an F-Zero. Come on, do it.
Oh, Mario Kart
I'd be
4K
down
on
for
that
an
new
F-Zero.
4K Switch that's coming out.
That'll just be Mario Kart 8 Deluxe 2 X's.
4. No,
4K
which is
Deluxe.
yeah, no. It'll be Deluxe spelt with 4 Ks.
Better than 3 Ks.
You're definitely better than 3Ks. What if they call it like that they release 2 versions of it concurrently and they're both exactly the same except one runs at 480p and they call that one like the Lite and then they call the other one the XL.
The new Mario Kart 8 Deluxe.
I feel like
no.
the more technical we get these analogies, the more background you need on Switch consoles and Nintendo hardware for it to be funny.
True.
Anyway, on that hospital pass of a segue, is there anything else that you've been up to this week, Seth?
Yes, I watched Peter Rabbit 1 and 2 just because I need to catch up on Animal Logic movies for reasons, and I just started with those ones, and they're very fun movies. Like very very much children's movies, like family movies. But the first
So they're
one
laced with dirty jokes for adults, right?
Wait, no, I don't think so. Actually.
So they're actually kids'
Unfortunately.
movies.
Yeah, so they're actually kids' movies. Yes,
Well, that's disappointing.
Peter Rabbit is very clean, from memory anyway. I watched these like a week and a half ago, but
You're right. That is a long time
supposed
ago.
To be very clean before the furry community got to it.
But yeah, the first one has like a really nice heart to it about like Peter just trying to deal with new family coming in and things like that. There's a lot of fun moments. Like there's a garden battle between a person throwing dynamite at the rabbits and the rabbits throwing tomatoes at him and peanuts blackberries because he's allergic to them.
I feel like that's a one-sided fight.
You'd think so, but the rabbits are very, very quick and clever. The guy sets up an electric fence to try and keep the rabbits out at one point, and they rewire it to basically rig his entire house to be electrified. So every time he tries to open a door, he just gets blown away. He touches his drain pipe, and it shocks him and makes him pass out for an entire day. The rabbits are very violent.
Yeah. So hang on. So who was the aggressor here? Because this sounds like we might be sending questionable morals to children with this.
Both kind of, I think. The rabbits are like instigating by wanting to go into the garden and get vegetables. And
Okay.
The guy is also an instigator by trying to kill the fucking rabbits.
It's just an analogy for capitalism.
It really
Let's
is.
go.
But it's what matters in the end, where they all come together and become one big happy family.
And they
So
just
not capitalism,
and
or
they
just turns
just
into
forgive
communism.
the multiple concussions suffered and multiple sticks of dynamite thrown.
And also the rabbit's home being blown up and the woman that lives across the road having her house half destroyed. Yes.
There's a lot of destruction in this movie.
These children's movies sound incredibly violent.
It's probably why I like the first one more than the second one, because the second one has far less destruction.
So where does this fit in the Peter Rabbit cinematic universe? Is this like before or after Zootopia?
The PRCU, if you will.
Zootopia is probably way in the future, because those animals are all very sophisticated in their own society. These are just rabbits living in a farmland.
Has anyone else seen Watership Down?
I have not.
No.
I'm taking that. Okay, no, it's fine.
Wait, hang on. I want to take 3 seconds. Did you just say that rabbits live in a society?
In Zootopia, yes.
We live in a society. Wow, we have so much in common.
We have so much in common with rabbits. I try and kill rabbits. They rig my house with electric cabling. It's crazy. No, the only reason I ask about Watership Down is just because there's probably people that are going to listen to that going, why is he bringing up Watership Down? It's like an animated kind of like Beatrix Pottery style, like 2D cartoonish sort of done kids movie from the 90s, I think, at this point. But the problem is it's a kids movie that when you watch it as a child you just become traumatized by. So I'm just glad that Peter Rabbit exists, where what sounds like the same amount of violence but without the trauma.
Yeah, no. I didn't know this, but my cousins have watched both movies, and they apparently love these movies, and they're their favorite movies. So I'm glad I got that context now. But yeah, moving on to the second movie, because the first movie is like it's very heartwarming. It's a lot of fun. The second one kind of follows on, and the rabbits now have a book after them in the second movie, and
Sorry, a book after them. Is the book pursuing them?
No, as in like a book based on their lives.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. So like, it's like an in-universe version of the real-life Peter Rabbit books, but yeah, it's very meta, and they go even more
meta.
They go even more meta because in universe they want to make a Peter Rabbit movie.
So the PRCU is expanding, I see.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking of Spaceballs, where they have a section of the film where they just play the Spaceballs movie in the Spaceballs movie to figure out what happens next.
Oh god, I love in meta jokes like that. I know it's happened in something else, but it's escaping me at the moment.
Sorry, I keep pulling this into random tangents. So they have a book and there's a movie coming out. What happens next? I'm super invested in this now.
During marketing meetings, they're like giving titles to all the rabbits. There's like one's a smart one, one's a crazy one. Two of them are paired together and they're the dynamic duo. But they get to Peter and they call him the bad seed, and that kicks off this whole plot line of like, everyone thinks I'm the bad guy, so I'm going to start leaning into it. And he goes and starts hanging out with this older rabbits that's all grizzly and a thief in the city. And this older rabbit's like, oh, I knew your father like a long time ago. We were great friends. And leading him down this sort of line. And then it's like, so I got this big heist I want to plan, but it's going to require like tens of other animals to help pull it off. And that leads into like the main crux and problems of the movie, which I won't divulge too much information on. People should. It's a fairly recent movie, so I don't want to give spoilers. And also,
understandable. Yeah.
But yeah, it's also a pretty good movie. A lot of fun, humor and characters in it. But I just didn't enjoy it as much as the first one. I feel like the first one's like little bit of heart that it had lent it to being a little bit of a better movie. But both are pretty fun. So, yeah, both Peter Rabbit movies.
if someone only had
So-
access to Peter Rabbit 2, should they see Peter Rabbit 1 to get the background and context and characters, or
Honestly,
are
you
they
don't
fairly
need that.
distinct?
No, you don't need to. You don't need the context of Peter Rabbit 1 to enjoy Peter Rabbit 2. They're both pretty standalone. You just need to know, hey, there's been some tension between some characters, but the movie does a good enough job of like making that tension obvious.
So to recap, Peter Rabbit 1 is directed by Michael Bay, and Peter Rabbit 2 is Ocean's 11.
No, because
Okay.
Peter Rabbit 1 has an emotional core to its story that Michael Bay lacks.
Yeah, that's a fair point, yeah.
I think you'll also find that Peter Rabbit 2 sounds shockingly like Wreck-It Ralph 1.
No, that's a good movie.
That is a good movie.
Wreck-It Ralph 1 was actually fantastic.
Failing to remember the part where they did a heist, though, in Wreck-It
No,
Ralph 1.
but just because I am bad guy does not mean I am bad guy.
No, he
Oh,
leans
yeah.
into it. He starts going, well, if everyone says I'm a bad guy, then I'm going to be a bad guy.
Oh, so he's like anti-Wreck-It Ralph.
Yeah.
So he's like Wreck-It Ralph, but actually just goes and kills Fix-It Felix.
More like he
nice.
steals his hammer.
And then goes and commits crimes.
Yeah. He takes the hammer and starts breaking windows.
And then robs a bank with the hammer.
Yeah. And then he frames Fix-It Felix for the crimes.
Oh, even better. Oh,
What a
great.
wild movie.
Yeah, well, that's. I think we all just need to take a moment and realize that is not only the first movie review that we've had on this podcast, but the second as well.
Yes, exactly. Peter Rabbit 1, 8 out of 10. Peter Rabbit 2, 7 out of 10.
Final thoughts. If it was made by Naughty Dog, should they do a Peter Rabbit kart racer?
Yes. Naughty
And
Dog
it's just the bunny's running really fast. Oh my god.
Naughty Dog, as proven with their last 2 attempts, can do racing games very well and always hit it out of the park. So yeah,
have to
just let
rebrand
Naughty
to
Dog
Naughty-
do another racing game.
Naughty Dog will
rebrand
never
to
do
Naughty
another
Dog.
fun game for no reason again, though. It's just going to be just like serious games that are looking like movies. Rip Naughty Dog.
I don't know. Uncharted 4 was pretty gamey and fun.
I love Untitled
I haven't
Chapter.
played that.
Yeah. Which is getting. Is that the one getting a PC release soon?
It is, yes.
Yeah.
Cool. Glad that I got that one right. Sweet. Well, thank you for that, Seth. Which of Josh and Steve want to go next?
Shotgun, I'll go first.
I didn't plan any kind of successful segue, as is probably painfully apparent there. What? Anyway, Steve, what have you been up to this week?
I don't know how you could segue out of that. So I'll just jump straight in. Through the wonderful thing and the miracle that is the Xbox Game Pass service, I've been playing Planet Coaster because that leaves on the 15th, which gives me 4 days. And a lot of time. I've got a lot more to do in that game. And that I'm playing on the Xbox Series X. It looks fantastic. No frame rate issues that I can find or anything.
Hey,
Just,
Steve, I have a
even-
question.
That was fast.
If it's leaving on the 15th and you've got a lot to do, are you playing it right now while recording this podcast?
No,
If
actually.
not, why not?
I don't think I'd be able to focus on 2 things at the same time. I'm not very good at multitasking.
Oh, damn, that's a shame.
Maybe
That's
next-
the Steve review. What about Planet Coaster review?
So essentially what's pretty much going on is that I'm pretty sure it's made by the same people that have made all the roller coaster series, or at least like the 3D ones like Roller Coaster Tycoon 3. And it is very much in that same vein. Like you go into a theme park and you can pretty much, you've got your career mode, which you go in, you try to earn a gold star by doing various challenges, or you've got your sandbox modes, which you pretty much go in there, do your best, and just print money through making a roller coaster that kills everybody because it drops for 400 kilometers. And you've got like a challenge mode, and that's sort of similar to career mode, but there's no like stars to aim for. It's like, here you are, you're on the back foot, try to fix yourself out of it, and all the best type of thing. And it is quite fun. Like on some of the campaign levels, it's pretty much like okay, I'm all set up. Let's hit the triple rewind button. I'll wait for it to get more money, then I'll do something else. But maybe it's just because I'm pretty good at these type of games after I played them for such an amount of time when I was a kid. Unless you do something stupid like hire like 45 janitors, you're not really going to run out of money. But then at the same time, I guess if you overreach a bit too much, or if you create like a roller coaster that doesn't get used, you can put like $15,000 into something that just like, okay, we're not using it anymore, all the best. Which can sort of be a bit sort of frustrating because it's going to take a long time to make those coasters. Like, and maybe that's just because I'm playing on a console or the controller. It does take a bit more time, and some of the exact specifics are pretty hard to get to with the clicking because you've got like a cursor that you're moving around with your controller and it's not really that fast.
Yeah, they're always kind of rough, those games to play on consoles where you have a cursor that you move with the thumbstick.
Yeah, I'm surprised to hear you say that because I played Planet Coaster a fair bit when it came out a few years ago now, but I didn't even realize that it had a console release. I thought it was only PC.
Yeah, so the console release is quite new. It's a year and a half, 2 years. And it is just the base game. And it does have all the DLC available for purchase. But it's like, I think it's quite pricey for what it is. Like, it's like $20 per pack from what I remember. And maybe because I'm like playing it through Game Pass. Like, I'm not sure if I ever would have bought it either on PC or Xbox. Like, it was definitely something that was always on my radar. I definitely would have liked to have paid. But it was either through Game Pass or through like a deep sale that was like less than $10, I would have picked it up. I'm sort of a bit salty that I can't get the DLC because like they look good, but it's still just like a couple extra rides or a couple of extra skins or decorations or something. And that probably it has a lot more of a focus on scenery and park design. Like your rides have like prestige levels essentially, which is out of 5, and a higher prestige ride you can charge more. Like you can end up charging like $20 for like a 3-second ride, depending on the prestige around it. And the prestige around it can be like if you've done like a marketing campaign around it, or if there's like special scenery that goes around and interacts with it. So it's kind of cool in that aspect. But it's very much like it's a theme park game. If you're into it, you're into it. If you're not, you're not. And I definitely am very much into it. I'm sort of kicking myself now because I would have liked to have taken my time with it, and so I'm sort of like rushing my way through it. And designing the coasters as well. Like, even though it's called Planet Coaster, the coasters are just like one part of it. Like you've got all your thrill rides and your scenery decorations and your facilities and stuff. So it's kind of weird how they chose Planet Coaster as a name.
I think that was to like that kind of harks back to Roller Coaster Tycoon, right? Where Roller Coaster Tycoon, again, roller coasters was only a part of it, but I guess the whole point is that the draw of most theme parks is the roller coasters that you might see there.
It's also probably the thing you have the most freedom and flexibility with, I would say. So
yeah, and that's definitely
a bit more
true.
in-depth mechanics there.
Yeah, that's definitely true. And when you're designing the coasters, you can even like the tutorial in designing coasters is pretty good. Like it tells you like you've got to bank on sharp turns so your guests don't get a lot of lateral or vertical G forces and don't just pass out and die.
Seems like good advice.
There's a roller coaster that was built to like just a bit of a side note, which is kind of cool, called the Euthanasia Coaster. I don't know if you guys have heard of it.
I heard of it.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
I haven't actually.
You haven't? So it was designed in like 2010 by this guy somewhere in Europe. And basically what it is it's a giant spike that you go up at the start, and as you come down, there's a series of loops that basically give you enough G-force that you pass out and you don't get enough air and you eventually die. And it wasn't built, but it was designed to be like this statement and this artistic thing. So I know a lot of people have like rebuilt that, and also the famous Mr. Bones Wild Ride in that game. Have you built any roller coasters that are like,
I was going to
model
ask
after
if Steven had taken the time, or if he will try to take the time to make a sequel to Mr. Bones Wild Ride.
Yeah. Like, what a coaster!
What an absolute great roller coaster! I love that Green Six so much.
Yeah,
it's so good.
It is very good. Honestly, I probably will have a play around with it in the next coming days. But it's kind of, I find it, like, yeah, I can make those things, but if they don't really exist in a park sort of setting and they're not really realistic, I kind of, like, jars me up pretty bad. Like, I'm completely disengaged and blah, 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 realism broken, blah, 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 immersion broken, blah, 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 just learn to have fun. I just don't find those things fun. Like, maybe just because I'm not a creative person, but I probably will have a go of it, but unless I'm like designing a coaster for a specific campaign or challenge or achievement or rah rah rah. That's not really my thing, but I definitely do really like the park management thing, and it definitely is getting me very excited to go to a couple of theme parks while I hit up Luna Park eventually as well. Just need a bit of thrills in my life.
You can drop real roller coasters into Planet Coaster, though, right?
Like
some of the pre-built ones, I think, are based on real ones. Or am I thinking of Roller Coaster Tycoon?
Yeah, definitely. There definitely is that, and there's a really good community out there where like you can upload your pre-made coasters or your parks or your scenery settings up there, and people can go in and have a play around with it.
Actually, it might have been Roller Coaster Tycoon that I'm thinking of, but there was one where it was either after playing Planet Coaster or playing Roller Coaster Tycoon that I actually wound up at one of the Six Flags theme parks where I knew a bunch of the roller coasters before even arriving, just because I'd used them in Roller Coaster Tycoon or Planet Coaster, and it was cool going from, I guess, following a patron in a management game, going on the roller coaster to doing it yourself. And wow, shock, going on a roller coaster is different from seeing it on a computer screen. But there's something kind of surreal about like, here is this game that I'm playing as like a management of a park, and then like here is this physical structure that it is based on. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, and you can even if you're so inclined, you can look through the eyes of the people in the park as well.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Look,
yeah,
I'm really there. Yeah, it's pretty cool in that aspect. I know when like I've been playing around with the coasters for some of the campaign missions, because you got to test the coasters before you can open it. I'll always put myself into the first person mode and ride with it. And that can be quite fun. Like I imagine if it was like if you're looking at it through VR or something, and had like a fan blowing in front of you, you'd go fucking apes. It'd be really cool.
Or if you just take your laptop on the actual roller coaster.
Oh, even better. Or just like run around your house.
You're on call, you're working for IT and you're trying to solve something, but you're at a roller coaster ride. Like, no.
Well, I'm not going to lose my place in line now.
Just spin in your office chair. I'm sure it's the same.
If you go fast enough, yeah, just make sure you don't go up anyway. But yeah, no, I'm genuinely enjoying it. I'm glad I'm getting it through Game Pass and I didn't pay for it, because some of the challenges and the campaign things are like pretty easy. I'm not creative enough to sort of get into the community or get into the scene of all that type of thing. So yeah, I reckon it's probably a 6 or a 7 out of 10 so far. But saying that, I've still got 4 more days, and apparently from what I've been reading online, some of the challenges towards the end get like where it's really good. So I'll sort of hang my hat on that.
So I have, and as I said, played Planet Coaster a bit, but the same people made Planet Zoo a couple years later, and I don't know if they're still updating that game actually, but that came out still a few years ago now. But it's funny because back in our childhoods, it was like Zoo Tycoon and Roller Coaster Tycoon, and it seems like whichever group, maybe it is the same people that are just doing a revamped one. Although I don't think it is, because I seem to remember one of the studios. Maybe not Maxis. One of them at least, that built the original ones, and they did a re-release for one of the roller coasters, and it was terrible, like SimCity back in the day to SimCity re-release type terrible. I hope. Yeah, I don't remember who I'm thinking of. Anyway, the question was gonna be far out. That took a while. Was if Planet Zoo came up on Game Pass, would you give that a shot as well? Like, is it all park management games that you're into, or?
Yeah, so I do remember. I think it might be Zoo Tycoon. It was one of the very early launch titles for the Xbox Series. Sorry, the Xbox One. I really enjoyed that one, but I kind of really bounced off it because it's just zoos. I don't really care. But yeah, I am sort of mad into the park management games, and maybe I should go back and have a play of it, because it's just sort of sitting there and I got sort of like a couple of hours into it and I bounced off it. But yeah, I'll eventually get back to it. It's added to the very long backlog. So there's that. And I'm also playing Dead Space 3 as well. So I played Dead Space 1 and 2 quite recently, like within the last month, and those are very good in terms of like what they do in their third person horror games with their own type of thing. Like they're very story heavy, they're very horror based, everything's dark, very spooky, sounds very good. Whereas Dead Space 3 doesn't really, it sort of loses all of it. Like you start off on a space station and then you sort of go down planet side and you're fighting like people as well, like a religious cult. So it's just very different, and the guns
Is it
have a universal
good different though, or is it like
feels like
Mass Effect 3 different?
Sorry, what was that, Josh? I missed that.
Sorry, is it good different though, or is it like a Mass Effect 3 different?
Okay.
I like Mass
We're gonna
Effect
have to
3.
discuss that one later, but I'll let it slide for now. Steve, your response.
It's definitely worse. It implements a crafting system which didn't exist in the previous games. It removes the idea of money, so you're pretty much crafting for all your weapons and your ammo, which is, it feels like you're sort of playing catch up all the time with all these materials and stuff, and it doesn't really explain very well what material is used for.
It's also got a forced co-op, doesn't it?
I don't think it's forced. Well, I haven't come to that.
I think you always have an AI partner with you if you're not playing like person-person co-op. Or am I wrong about that?
Well, the parts that I'm up to, because I think we're about like 6 hours in and I haven't hit a co-op partner yet. I think there is like a section of it where there would be a co-op thing, or maybe it's a co-op separate levels or something.
I'm pretty sure. So I started it in co-op with one of my friends. We only got a couple hours in, but that was co-op from the start. It seemed to be following the story. I never actually finished it, so I could be totally off base. But I'm pretty sure you can just do the campaign in co-op if you're so inclined.
I guess it wasn't so much forced co-op and people just complaining that the co-op that was there broke the game.
Yeah, I could see that happening.
Yeah, it would definitely make it a lot easier because it's pretty easy as it is. Maybe this is because I've gotten good at them, and maybe the third one they're trying to appeal to a wider audience. But yeah, to be quite honest, I'm pretty disappointed in it. Like, it's number 1 and number 2 are really good. Like, there's so many beats and the sounds are really good. You always feel like you're just a little bit close to just, if you do the wrong thing, you're gonna get killed. But with this, it's sort of missing. Like, it's
more like action adventure than horror.
Yeah, it's gone the way of like a third-person shooter. As opposed to like
I've heard about that. It's quite tonally different from the first two.
3 had a lot of corporate meddling from EA, and because of that, it ended up shutting down this development studio.
Yeah, which is a shame. Like, it's 1 and 2 were fantastic. Like,
they took the studio to the farm.
Yeah.
The EA farm.
Yeah, the EA farm. That farm's getting pretty big.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sad now. I'm just very disappointed with it. And there is like a multiplayer mode. I'm probably not going to check that out because it probably doesn't exist anymore. But even if it did exist, I probably wouldn't even touch it. Like, it's quite disappointed with it, to be honest. And it's kind of a letdown because number 1 sort of ties the story off, and number 2 ties the story off, and 3 is sort of this is what happened after 2. This is what's trying to resolve everything. But yeah, it's not very good unless you're sort of into it. I can't really recommend it. Like, or even if you are into Dead Space 1 and 2, yeah, it's not very good. It's aged particularly well considering it's about 10 years old. Whereas Dead Space 1 didn't really, but Dead Space 2 did. In terms of like the level design and the shooting mechanics and all that type of stuff.
Sorry, you're saying that it's aged well, as in you could go back and play Dead Space 1 and 2 and it still feels like newish, or what do you mean?
Oh, so as in it doesn't feel that bad. Like it.
Right.
There's definitely a couple of things where it's like, okay, thank God we've gone past this part. Like when you're waiting for an elevator and it's, oh, you press the button for the elevator. Oh no, it's gone red. Oh no, you're getting attacked by 10 of the necromorphs, the alien things at once.
Horror trope number 17.
Yeah, like it's maybe just because it's overdone. It's probably hasn't aged that well. And with the crafting stuff that they've done in Dead Space 3, like you set up like a module and that scavenges crafting parts for you, and you use those parts to craft more scavenger modules. Try to get more parts. It just seems to be like a cycle that was just. It just feels out of place.
So
Honestly,
I
the
feel
way
like
you're describing it honestly to me sounds like that 3 actually aged the worst out of all of them.
yeah, I'm still a little bit confused as to what. So are you saying that
Yeah.
3 aged better or worse than 1 and 2?
I think maybe just come because I'm so disappointed with it. I'm making it seem like worse than it is. But in terms of like core gameplay mechanics, as in going from A to B, shooting, melee attacking, all that type of stuff, that has aged quite well. But it's all that the secondary stuff they added just only in 3, like the crafting and the weapon upgrade system, that has not aged very well.
Right. And it's
Right,
because of
okay.
those secondary things you mentioned that I feel like, no, this actually sounds like it's aged worse, because at least with 1 and 2, they were kind of focused in on what they wanted to do. One's
Yeah.
a very strong survival horror game.
Yeah.
2 is less survival horror and more a bit towards the actiony side, but it still feels like an improved version of 1. And 1 has this very, very good tone and atmosphere it's going for, where it feels like you're stuck on this ship with these necromorphs and just fighting for your life.
Yeah, and that's definitely it. And like you're sort of going mad as well, because Isaac has sort of been exposed to the marker, which is an alien artifact, and he's sort of losing his mind and things. He thinks things are there when they're not there, so he's like wigging out for a bit. And you don't really like in 1 and 2 you get that, and it's really good. But in number 3, it's pretty much like a get your gun, Isaac. We got to win.
I also remember when 3 initially came out that people were saying 1 and 2 also worked because you had just as little idea what was going on as Isaac Clarke, and then by the time you get to the 3rd game, Isaac's kind of like, yeah, we've seen this before, and then you just kind of you play it out from the perspective of you kind of know what you're in for a little bit, which it sort of just works against it being a 3rd game in the series in that way, because 1, it just puts you in the deep end, but then like you would sort of expect that by the time you get to the 3rd game that the protagonist has smartened up a little bit, but that sort of works against the still trying to survive like the horror trope.
Yeah, well, I think it's like in the first like 10 minutes of the game, he's pretty much like, no, leave me alone. I don't want to help you guys anymore. Get fucked. Which is essentially
just
like,
when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in.
Yeah, which is, and throughout the whole game, well, the parts that I've seen so far, he's pretty much in that same vein, like, get me out of here. I don't want to be here. I've done my time type of thing. But yeah, just disappointing. I'll finish it through because I have to finish everything that I start. But yeah, pretty disappointing.
That's a shame.
That is
Because
a
I
shame.
really like Dead Space 1 and 2, and EA dropping the ball for free just really ruined that franchise.
Dropping
EA
the ball.
dropping the ball on a sequel. Never
dropping
heard that.
the ball with the 3rd game and the studio.
Yeah, and now they're bringing back the first one with a remake, and they're not involving any of the original studio. It's like, well, just time to shit on these people even more for a little bit.
Yeah, I'd be very interested.
It's actually interesting because
that's what the game looks like.
They're redoing System Shock as well, which is like pretty much the mother of all these games. And that remaster comes out very, very soon as well. And that, from what I've seen, is like very true to the original, and it really kind of holds up a lot of that original sort of horror aspect that, this game came before Dead Space and BioShock and all those kind of games. And it was like really kind of the first one of that genre. So I'm kind of interested to see if they do the similar vein with the remake for this, and they make, a Dead Space 1 kind of true to life as what it was in the original, but just newer and updated, or if they try and revamp it in the way that EA does and just kind of kill
and
it.
make it a live service single player game.
Live service model. Yeah. Oh god, no.
Need to make sure you're connected to the internet.
Yeah, and they've been intentionally like vague about what they're doing, whether it's actually like a remake and they're bringing it back to sort of and fixing all the quality of life stuff like what they did.
Oh no, they haven't been very vague, because they did a stream recently where they talked about it, and it's like, yeah, this is a ground up remake of the original game with some quality of life changes and things like that.
Yeah, but I'm still. How much will they be remaking it? Will it sort of be the same thing with some shiny new wheels, or will it be with starting again? This is like the idea premise.
I think I think they said it was the first game with shiny new wheels and shiny new gameplay.
Good.
Yeah, I think even EA would have to realize that wanting to do a reboot almost of the first game would be, I would say, would be suicide, but that hasn't stopped them in the past. But I'd hope that they would have learned from their mistakes, or at least seen how poorly the community received the third game, that they decide to just try and make the shiny new wheels a thing for the first game remake.
If EA marketing is listening to this, you can't sell DLC for a game that no one wanted to play. So, at least get the base right. Work up from there.
Dead Space Legendary Edition is what we want. Give the people what they want.
To be
Looking
honest,
forward
I'm
to the
actually
season
more.
pass.
To be honest, I'm actually more interested in what the original Dead Space creators' new game is going to be like. It's called the Callisto Protocol.
That looks very good.
The original director is making that, and just from the original trailer that they showed for it, it's very Dead Space looking. So I'm more interested in what that's doing than what the Dead Space remake or anything EA does is going to happen.
We haven't heard anything from that game in a while. Was it this year's E3 or was it last year's?
I think it was last year's Game Awards show.
Game Awards, okay. But yeah, that's everything that's up on my plate.
Are we ready to go into the Forza Horizon Power Hour?
I mean, I look at the overlap between Josh and I see that we have Deep Rock Galactic and Forza on there. So why don't we have Josh talk through what's not Deep Rock Galactic and Forza Horizon, and then we'll just kind of intermingle what would be my section and his, because I assume we're going to be talking about the same points, and there's no point repeating it twice. Josh,
this is what happens when we play a lot of the same games.
Yeah, well, I mean, shock, we're into the same games. Woo.
Although, somewhat ironically, I don't think we've played Forza Horizon 5 together yet, and I don't think we've even played the Deep Rock Galactic update together.
Oh no, we've
yet,
absolutely played the update together.
The update we have? Okay. I know I've played it a lot with a few of our other friends, so okay. But anyway, outside of those things, outside of space dwarves and cars, I was playing Voice of Cards, which released on the Switch and the PC, on Steam specifically, and that was excellent. That was so good. The OST was just phenomenal. The gameplay was just really well done. It felt balanced the entire way through. I never got to a point where I was too strong or too weak, and just the tabletop elements of that game just really brought out just a whole new light for what is the Yoko Taro game. I thought it was incredible.
Because of that, I'm curious if the game's level scales with you, since you said you're not too weak or too over-leveled.
It definitely doesn't.
It doesn't? Okay.
It's just, it seems to be like it's just such a tight story, because there's very minimal side quests, and the story itself is only about 10 hours long, which is really the only negative part I have about the game. That you have to just run through the dungeons that you're in. And even if you explore every section of every dungeon, which is what I was doing, I was only really staying just a little bit ahead of where I felt like I should be for the monsters. I wasn't overly strong, and I wasn't particularly weak either. I didn't actually lose a fight until the very last boss fight, and that was kind of rough, but it kind of was meant to be. So like overall, I think it was incredible. I think the art design was amazing. I think the OST is one of the best things I've heard in literally ever in a game. Like it's on par with Nier Automata and Doom. Like it's very, very, very good. Great if you're actually just trying to do like we were playing it when we were playing D&D earlier last week. So that was great.
If I could just interject for a sec, I'm pretty sure you brought this up last week, but just to give people like a 5-minute refresher, can you maybe just describe, like, you've thrown out like dungeons and the art style for attacks and that kind of thing. Maybe just like a 5-minute rundown on what it is that you're actually doing in this game.
Yeah, for sure. Because obviously last week I'd only actually played the demo because that's all that was out. But the game has released now. I can give you a bit more information. So basically, there is a big overworld, which is just a whole bunch of cards represented on what is a tabletop, and each one of those cards is like a little bit of like land, so it could be like trees or a pathway or something like that, and it creates like one big map. And inside that map, you find people for quests and the main story markers and everything. And there's caves, which as you like step into like a cave or a church or something like that, it will then throw you into a new map instance for that area, which is like the inside of that building or the inside of that cave. So it throws you into what is like a dungeon scenario in a regular game or D&D. And as you go through that, there's mechanics where it's like, hey, this cave is so dark, you can't see ahead, so you have to move one step at a time instead of using the jump feature, which is like kind of like fast travel for wherever you've been, or you need to bring a torch or something like that to get
Do you
through
get
it.
hit by Zubats?
So no, but I don't think there was any bat enemies very specifically, but like it is one of those games, kind of like Pokemon, where if you imagine the entire world of Pokemon was grass, where you would walk through, and as you step on a tile, there's a chance for an encounter.
Yeah, with
So
the
that
Zubat.
exists in the overworld, and with a Zubat, yeah, that exists in the overworld. It exists in the caves. It exists in like the church. Even you fight like these Templars at some point. So just overall, just very good game, very tight gameplay. The attack animations themselves are all based around the cards as well. So your card will like tilt forward and throw a fireball or something like that, or it will like the card will like pick up itself and like slice through the enemy card, like if you're just doing like a sword attack or something like that.
That sounds really cool. What
Like
sort of
pretty
art
simple
style is that in?
animations,
Because I'm
but,
trying to visualize it.
It's all just 2D cards. Kind of like I don't really know how to describe the art style itself, but like semi anime. Like if you were to look at like the cover of a D&D handbook, kind of looks like that.
Oh yeah.
They're realistic, but they're not overly realistic.
I got a good way to describe this. Are you aware of what's the near like artwork looks like?
Yes.
Okay, imagine that, but imagine a buff naked Rock Lee in that art style, and that is 99% of the men in the game.
It's great.
And he's oiled up.
That
You
is,
had me at oil.
There is like a few cards that are very much the same. Like you might run into an old lady card, for example, which is the same for that old lady in all of the towns, like a generic NPC.
Oh, right.
And there is one that is a buff oiled guy. And there's ones that are like, like the tavern person looks exactly the same, like a Nurse Joy kind of thing, or whatever, where all those cards look very identical. But then as you come across more unique characters in there, so people that will join your party or maybe to have something to do with the main story beat, those cards are unique. And some of them are just so weird. Like the humor that comes out of the game, one of the early parts in it is that, without like going into spoilers, basically there's this really buff guy and he's like, oh, I'm buff, I don't need knowledge, my dad's wrong, my dad wants me to like be strong and like have all this knowledge and basically just history of the world, and he wants his son to go traveling and learn all this stuff, and he's like, no, I don't need it, I just need to work on my muscles. And then his dad comes out and he's also completely ripped, but he's just like, oh, right, well, let's I'll teach you a lesson. And he like downs this potion because he's an alchemist, and then just absolutely floors his son, and he just starts screaming like, knowledge is power. And it's just so over the top and just great. I don't really know how to explain it without someone actually experiencing it, but like 10 out of 10. The only downside for the game is that it's just not long
Yeah,
enough.
right. So in terms of like the story, so is it just like one story arc that you play through? And then is there anything that you can do once you finish that story arc that would keep you wanting to play it? Or is it very of just on story?
Yeah, I was about to ask that same question, if it was like, is this a one and done game, or does it open up to like multiple playthroughs? Because Yoko Taro games are usually like, hey, there's multiple endings, so if you keep playing it, you're going to get more and more content in some capacity.
Yeah, so without going into spoilers, there's definitely 3 endings. Well, technically 4. Basically, in sort of, it doesn't really matter what you sort of do too much throughout the main story, but at the end you make a choice that very much defines the ending. And depending on if you've collected certain collectibles and whatnot, you can make different choices. So inside that, there's obviously one good ending, which people who's played it and who's finished it will know what I mean. And then there's endings that have various, Yoko Taro style, you did this and you thought this would happen, but surprise, this happened kind of thing. So there's definitely some replayability through there, but not enough to justify. It's not like Nier where you're going through and then you play as an entirely different character, or you're getting the other half of the story that you were missing out and then like a roundup on the third playthrough. It's very much like you could finish the game, save before the last chapter, and then replay the last chapter 3 or 4 times, and then really that's all you need to do. That's kind of all there is to it. There's not anything that's really going to have you enthralled for more than sort of 12 hours total. Because I went through and I did all the endings, and yeah, I was finished the game in like 12, 13 hours. So
it seems like it's very much in the Hand of Fate series. Because I played that.
You did mention that to me, but yeah, I haven't played it.
Yeah,
So.
those games are a bit more RNG based. Like you hit a card, you flip the card up, and it's like roll your dice. If you got 4 or higher, you win. If 3 or lower, you lose, type of thing. So yeah, it's good to hear that you're enjoying it. And it's good to hear that Yoko Taro is once again releasing certified bangers. I'll give the music a listen to tomorrow.
Yeah, I sorry to cut in here as well, but on that ending thing as well, that is, the way you described it is like that's very much like original Nier, because the first Nier you play the game 3 times, like you play the second half of the game 3 times just straight, so that you can get to different endings, and it's the more Nier Automata that did the thing where they changed it for the other versions. So it sounds like Voice of Cards plays more towards like the other Yoko Taro games, where it's like very much you're just playing through straight, and like the ending is all that changes.
Pretty much, like there's 10 chapters pretty much, I think, total. There's at least 10 collectibles that you find that give you the endings. And literally, like, I'm talking probably the last half an hour of the game is really the only part that really changes anything, though. So it's not even the back end of the game. It's literally like the last half an hour, last hour of the gameplay total, pretty much before you enter the final dungeon. So it did feel a little bit lacking to me, but I'll probably will replay it at some point. It's something that I can see myself picking up again for sure. And the way that it sort of rounds out, and the way that the whole game is presented overall, because it's like the Voice of Cards : the Isle of Dragon Roars. It's like it seems like it's pretty much building itself up to be this small mini series that they're just going to release, like hey, here's this story in this Voice of Cards world, and then they'll throw another one out at some point that might be completely separate, but based around that tabletop mechanic, and with all these cards, and then the narrator talking with the one voice for every character kind of thing. I think if they release another one of those games, or they release DLC for that game, I would buy it tomorrow. I think it was really excellent. So I'm looking forward to see if they actually continue with that series. But knowing Yoko Taro, he's like, I'm bored, moving on to something else.
But it doesn't really matter what he moves on to, because it's going to be an absolute fantastic game.
Yeah, for sure. So that's Voice of Cards. I guess we can now start simping over either Deep Rock Galactic or
just
Forza.
Really quickly though, if people wanted to go and pick up Voice of Cards, how much and where from? And what platforms?
Oh, so Australian, $45 at full price. So I bought it on release. I actually had it pre-ordered through the Nintendo store. So I paid $45 for it. I'm pretty sure it was $45 on Steam as well. I think it's $30 US, and what would that be in New Zealand, Patrick? Like 50?
Yeah, probably 50, 55.
Yeah. So
Shut up, Steve.
It's a fairly expensive game for like a 10-hour game, but I mean, I enjoyed every second of it. Those 10 hours were the better part of the games that I've played in several months.
I don't think $45 is that bad for 10 hours.
Yeah, but I'm used to picking up games on PC and with a core game loop, and then running through that, and that could be like a $20 indie game that I play for hundreds of hours or something.
Yeah, it's a bit skewed.
I don't really tend to play very short games, so this was a different change up for me, but yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but as long as you think you're worth it and you got $45 worth of fun, like at the end of the day, that's what matters. Video games are more fun, right?
Yeah.
And achievements.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and achievements.
Yeah, there's no achievements.
And Steam trading cards.
Do we still collect those? Is that sort of thing?
Apparently.
Oh shit!
I don't know. The last few games that I've got on Steam, I still get trading cards. So to the one person out there collecting them, you do you, buddy.
I sell any duplicates I have. They usually sell for a few cents.
Hey, if you sell enough of them, you buy another game. You're buying Voice of Cards.
That's true.
Exactly. That is exactly how I'm going to fund my Voice of Cards wallet.
It reminds me of there was a Steam review. It was done. It was more like a reposted Steam review on like Reddit and the internet in general. I do not remember for the life of me the game because it was years ago now. But it was like a small. It was one of those like $1 to $5 price range games. I don't think it was greenlight or early access, but it certainly wasn't like it wasn't much of a game. But the review read, bought the game for $4, left it running on my computer for 6 hours, got trading cards, sold them back to the marketplace for $5, refunded the game 10 out of 10.
I think I've seen those games actually. I think I know what you're talking about. And then there's me who sold all of my Dota cosmetics for like $200 or $300 to buy several games that I don't think I ever ended up playing because Steam.
Nice.
But anyway, yeah. Speaking of games that are really expensive, I guess you want to dig into Forza, or do you want to do Deep
Before
Rock
that,
first?
though, it's been bugging me for 20 minutes. What the hell did you mean when you said, like, Mass Effect 3 bad?
But
Mass Effect 3 is good.
I mean, to be fair, I'm also the type of person that only liked Mass Effect 1, so my bad taste is not in question.
Did you even play
But
Mass Effect
also,
3?
Mass Effect 3 drops the ending, so let's be fair. He's kind of fair on that point.
Which one of the 3 colors would you like?
Which flavor
They
ice
first-
cream do you want?
They flushed that more in the extended edition.
Yeah, but it
Yeah.
launched, they
After
fucked up
the
the
extended
ending, and you
edition.
had to wait a few months for them to add it in as DLC.
And the worst part is that Mass Effect 3 leads into Andromeda. So it's
Yeah.
Andromeda.
Yeah,
No,
it is Andromeda. We don't
technically-
speak about
Andromeda.
that one, though.
Yeah, technically,
Yeah.
no. Technically,
That got retconned by God, so that one
Yeah.
doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. No, just because Legendary Edition came out this year. I think it was this year.
Yeah, like June.
Yeah,
Yeah.
February this year, I think it was.
Played it a
Yeah.
bunch. Never played Mass Effect. I know we're getting off topic, but just really quick. It's just because played Mass Effect 2 and 3 when they came out years ago. Never played Mass Effect 1 because I didn't have an Xbox, and it just wasn't something that I wanted to pick up on Steam. But I went back and played it with the quality of life updates in Legendary Edition, and man, Mass Effect 1, underrated game. Wow,
Yeah,
excellent.
no,
I-
fantastic. Yeah, I remember playing that when it came out.
Yeah, like
Wow,
a lot of
yes.
the people that complain about it, I think complain about it because of the mechanics. And from the sounds of it, yeah, the mechanics were
They were dog shit.
pretty awful. But
Even at the time on a console, it shouldn't have been.
I
Yeah.
played it for an hour, got up to the Dune buggy, and quit.
yeah, exactly. That all
Yeah,
that
that
kind of
shit
stuff. But
fucking
with the quality of
fucking
life
sucks.
improvements, re-released in the Legendary Edition, man, Mass Effect 1, excellent game. But yeah, I get the issues with the Mass Effect 3 ending, but every other part of Mass Effect 3 was awesome. It was almost annoying playing through Mass Effect 2 because a lot of the mechanics and systems that I thought I remembered were in 2 were actually just in 3. So
I mean, I also Stephen had actually lent me Mass Effect 1 way back when we used to work together at a fast food chain, and he's like, play this game, it's great. And I went to play it and I was like, I hate this, and I sort of just dropped it, and I never played Mass Effect until the Legendary Edition released this year. And then I played through number 1 in like a day, and I was like, this is one of the greatest games I've ever played. Started playing number 2 and was like, I kind of hate this. And I'd played a little bit of Mass Effect 3 when it was like free on Origin at some point in like mid 2010. And don't know thanks.
So what I'm hearing is that BioWare was never actually good.
No, they were. No,
But
1,
what
2,
do you
and
mean
3 are
Dragon
fantastic.
Age? Oh, Dragon Age is like one of the greatest series ever released.
So it's
too,
like the
so
Knights
until
of
you
the
get to
Old Republic
Inquisition.
series. Mwah. Jade
Yeah,
Empire.
yeah,
Mwah.
there you
Oh,
go.
this is the BioWare cast. Thanks for tuning in, everybody.
yeah.
Can we talk about
I don't know. They did kind of
Can we
make
talk
that
about
one
Anthem?
Sonic game.
And Anthem, how about that?
What one?
Oh,
Sonic game?
the chef's kiss of video games.
Ah.
that was the sequel to the retconned by God anthology after Andromeda.
One day they'll be back.
Man, I can't believe they ended that Sonic game with a sequel hook as well.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
It's called Hope. Yeah.
Anyway, back to the initial agenda. 'Cause, yeah, it's been bugging me for 20 minutes. I had to make sure. I think it's probably better because I think both of us have been playing Forza Horizon 5 more. That we'll get through Deep Rock Galactic first, and then we'll do Horizon 5 if that sounds like a
good.
plan. So, Deep Rock Galactic, I shilled it for what, like 2 hours? Was it 4 hours last episode?
I
While.
think it was like a whole day.
Yeah, probably a whole day last week.
But it only felt like seconds.
Yeah. So go tune into episode 1 if you want more of the background and context to it. We'll do like a quick 30-second summary. You're a dwarf, you're in space, it's like a low poly FPS, very procedurally generated, very like co-op oriented, very class based. Yeah, I talked about a lot more of like what I liked about the game last week, but I apparently did such a good job that Josh has picked it up. So I guess this is going to be an interesting segment because we haven't really had. I guess we did it with gunfire a little bit last week, but now you get to tell the rest of us about your experience with Deep Rock Galactic, having picked it up, only in the time since the last episode.
Yeah, I mean, like if you want me to give you my experience, I mean, I think it's great. Like, I mean, to be honest, I knew I would like it when you were talking about it, right? But to me, it was just like, hey, there's a gameplay loop. You have several different game modes. You upgrade things outside in a main home base, and I was like, sounds like it's just built for me. So I'm really loving it. Obviously, the co-op sort of side of it is definitely the big draw for me. I don't think it's a game that I would play alone personally, but like when I picked it up, I spoke to a few of our friends that we talked to in Discord a lot, and one of them actually already had it and already played like 100 hours. And he's like, "Yeah, I'm down. Let's play." And another one, he's like, "Oh, I've wanted this." But basically, he just hadn't played it yet. So I gifted him a copy before I even launched it myself, just so that we could play together in a 4 stack. And we jumped in, and two of us knew what was going on, two of us didn't, and it was
And
great.
chaos
It was
ensued.
phenomenal. Yeah,
um,
I mean, my favorite class that I've played so far is the Scout, but
yeah, that's
yeah,
right.
I've yet to pick the other ones up, but I've seen what they can do now, and I think there's definitely enough variety in the game to keep you playing for a very long time if you really want to.
We definitely have played multiplayer because several times I had to scrape you off the floor of a cabin when you misjudged your grappling hook.
I wasn't sure if that was before or after the update, but obviously while we were talking about the game and I'd picked it up, they had released what they were calling their biggest content update ever, which I think is a fair call.
Yeah, it is. Because what they released August last year, I think. And this year, almost a year on, a year plus a couple months, is their biggest update where they released like the changelog is ginormous. They fixed and adjusted a ton of things as well as just straight up adding new features and content.
It kind of sounds like Josh got in at the perfect time then.
Well,
I did.
I think I think you can be in two minds about that because I've played it knowing that this update was coming. I think with like a 2 or 3 week heads up time, and so I played it a ton, and it was almost good playing it a ton and getting into the groove of what the game is, and then having the update, and then even though I played it a ton, it like refreshed everything and made me want to play it again more. So on that side, I think it was a better time when I got into it. But if you're going to get into it, it's probably better to get into it properly after a large game shifting update comes out rather than while the game shifting update comes out, because it's not the it sort of suffers from the same Warframe problem of the systems aren't that complicated. You just need someone to explain the systems to you, because the game has a reasonably good user menu, but it's still easier just playing it with someone in Discord that just sort of knows a bit more, or at least someone that you can just fire a quick question to, that knows some more. The update is
sure,
the
like...
rival faction
Rival Incursion.
rival incursion. Thank you. Yeah, where they released a new mission type to add to what's already like 8 something mission types. A few new challenges scattered throughout the other mission types, which is cool. Because in the game, regardless, there are just little things that'll occasionally pop up in maps where if you complete like it's not even a secondary objective, it's like just a random challenge that shows up that you get some kind of reward, and they added and rejigged a few of those, which is cool. As well as adding a new weapon for each of the different classes, and you probably aren't up to the stage where you've unlocked that third weapon yet.
No, no, I've only just unlocked some of the second weapons, so yeah, I haven't got that far into it. But the big thing that really sort of they're driving home in this is that it's the first of just what they're doing for seasons, like Diablo sort of style, where this season is the Rival Incursion update, and the next season is going to be themed around something else. So the Rival Incursion sort of comes with like a story where basically because you're like late stage capitalism dwarf working for Amazon, there's like an Amazon competitor that's in your I don't know what they call it, section of space.
Well, we know that it
I'm
can't be
guessing
late
would
stage
be section
capital.
of
I mean,
space.
what competitor to Amazon could there be?
That's true, but somehow in this universe, it's a game. We'll pretend that it exists. There's a competitor to Amazon.
The Azure,
that isn't
the Azure
Microsoft or
of
Google.
cloud providers.
We got the Amazon and then we got the rainforest.
But there's this competitor, and they're basically breaking into your incursion, breaking into your section of space with this incursion. And the events that Patrick's are talking about is like, as you come across this random challenge, it's going to be around like stopping them collecting data on the planet that you're on mining, or destroying their drones just to stop them basically surveying planets and stuff. So it's all kind of themed around this one big thing for this update. So it's really interesting to see that they've put a basic amount of story into this first season, and rather than just like changing a few text fields like Diablo, they've actually got something that makes it interesting enough that I feel like the second season is going to be a bit of a swap up as well, and these events will probably disappear and they'll probably add new events in for whatever suits that story for that season. So
it's also worth mentioning, one of the few games that does a free battle pass as a free battle pass. It's not like the Rocket League or Pokemon Unite system of, yeah, we have a free battle pass, but it's basically just the poor man's version of the premium battle pass, which is what we're actually trying to sell you. Like Deep Rock Galactic put in a battle pass, like you play and you just get points by just playing, but there's no paid component. Like the only way you can give them money is to pay for the DLC packs for like weapon skins and things that they released alongside this update, but in no way impact what you get in the battle pass, which I thought was really cool too.
On the battle pass thing, the worst ones are actually the ones that are like, I think it's Call of Duty that does this, where it's like, hey, give us some money and we'll skip you halfway through the battle pass and then you got to go through the rest of it yourself.
That's definitely not just Call of Duty. That's like a weirdly common thing across anyone that offers the premium battle pass. I know Rocket League did that, Dota did that. Actually, those are the only games that I play with a battle pass, as I think of it. But yeah, it's here's this thing you want, and all you have to do is just invest time, or give us the sweet mum's credit card money, and we can do the grind for you.
There's a game that springs to my head, and I can't remember exactly what it's called, but there was like statistics on it. Actually, I think it's War Thunder or World of Tanks. It's one of those games where they have a battle pass system, and it's free, but like someone worked out that you would have to be playing for the length of the entire battle pass like 6 or 7 hours a day non-stop and do well at it in order to actually unlock everything in the battle pass without buying anything. So like it wasn't even just like a, hey, you can pay to skip the grind. It was like, this grind is literally impossible unless you buy this, which is just
definitely not as bad. But Pokemon Unite with their daily, or maybe it's weekly, currency cap meant that it's not necessarily battle pass related, but a lot of the draw is grinding to get the currency for new Pokemon. But with a currency cap alongside playing, for battle pass points and things, people were looking at 6 weeks, I think, give or take 2, because there's a few different tiers for Pokemon to unlock, but 6 weeks of playing to the cap, like religiously, which I think is only on a weekly basis. So you'd be grinding 1 or 2, sections to get as much currency as you can. But yeah, it's all that kind of thing of like, yeah, like we'll give you the systems with which all you need to do is just grind and you get what you want. But man, the optics on some of those grinds are absolutely horrendous.
Yeah, no, they're pretty bad. But yeah, to have a free update that contains a free battle pass with just like the size of the update that it is really good, and I 100% support that. So hell yeah. Definitely keen to keep playing.
I also noticed, I know that we're trying to wind this up, but it was something really cool in that on the changelog they said, hey, we noticed that a lot of people are using a mod for the miner where the miner has like power drill fists, so you can just tunnel through walls and things. And what this mod was it was just like I want to say altimeter, but not quite. It was like a tilt, like like the gyroscope on a plane tells you where the horizon is, kind of thing.
A tiltometer.
Just I want to say tiltometer, but that sounded wrong somehow. But something that when you use it, you no longer so it's quite easy, unless you're a certified Deep Rock Galactic professional like myself, to drill into a wall and then pull up the map and go, okay, I need to drill up. And then you'll be drilling up, and you'll keep drilling, and then you'll at some stage between checking your map and drilling, you'll just assume that you've leveled out, and you won't, because you're digging a tunnel. You don't have any reference point for this. And so I know that one of the people that we played with a bit, Josh, ran into that issue a few times, where it would be a mission type like the on-site refining, the on-site Morkite refinery, where when you have a miner on the team, it's much more efficient to just drill a tunnel for one of these pipes in the straightest way possible. And he turned it into a roller coaster completely accidentally, just because he was looking at where he needed to drill on his map and then just arbitrarily drilling at an angle over and over again. But it was cool. And in the changelog, they said, we notice everyone's been using this mod, so we've just added it to the game.
Oh, that's pretty sick.
Yeah, I know that GTA 5 did something kind of similar to that, but not by choice, where some absolute mad lad out there figured out that 45% of their loading time was because they'd added so much shit to GTA 5 Online that the JSON file that contained all of the items was just taking so long to parse that he went and found the library that did it, corrected it, and, as I said, like sped up loading times by almost half. And everyone went, so, Rockstar, you're going to put this into GTA Online, right? And after a couple weeks, they went, after testing this fix, we've decided to put it in. And it was kind of like, oh, well, finally. It's the sort of opposite side of, Deep Rock Galactic community. A modder went and did something cool. We want to do that. Whereas Rockstar was just getting beaten about the head by every gaming journalist going, why isn't this fix in your game yet?
It had been out for years.
Yeah,
I remember reading about that. Yeah.
What a story. Yeah, cool. So, Deep Rock Galactic, sort of closing remarks. Sounds like you don't regret playing it.
No. The only thing that I do regret is that it's also on Game Pass, and I've bought it.
Oh, it's on Game Pass.
But that's okay. It was worth the money. It's on Game Pass. You should definitely play it.
Oh, where are we dropping?
I don't think it actually supports the co-op though from Steam to
Life is
Xbox.
No, we went over this last week.
Yeah,
I think we went over this last week.
The Xbox version's like the PC Xbox launcher doesn't support crossplay with Steam.
Life is pain.
Yeah, so I would have probably had to buy it anyway. But I mean, if you want to play it, Stephen, and chill it for a third week in a row, I mean, it is on Game Pass.
All right, and then the week after that is when I buy it and then chill it, right?
Yeah. And then we get Seth's thoughts. It'd be so cute. Then we get to the 4-player co-op together, but not.
Welcome to the Deep Rock Galactic cast.
Yeah.
Hey, by that time I might have a salary, so it's possible.
Yeah, you probably would actually in a couple of weeks. So yeah,
we should save context for that to the big news section we have coming up. Just because to everyone that isn't in this speaking right now, they're probably thinking, "Wow, what a weirdly off-topic thing to comment."
I think it's probably worth mentioning as well that Deep Rock Galactic currently on Steam is actually half price at $22. So for $22, this game is an absolute bargain.
Holy.
Yeah, it ends on the 16th of November, and I mean, I just bought 2 copies of it for like the full price.
They're 50% off. You're basically losing money if you don't.
Well, now I know. Now I have to buy another couple of copies. But no, it's I played the full price for it, and then I bought it for a friend. And I think that even if I had paid that for the 1 copy for just myself, it absolutely would have been worth it. So I definitely recommend. Cool. Anyway, Forza
Power Hour.
How do you pronounce it? Is it Forza or Forza?
Yes, however you want to say it.
We're a very inclusive community. If you want to say it the right or wrong way, I'm not going to say which is which, then that's totally fine. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's an Italian word, so there's a chance that it would be like Forza with like the hard like the hard break between for and za, but I don't think you're going to get spaghetti thrown at you if you get it wrong.
People say it's like Forza, like there's a T between the R and the Z.
Yeah, I would say Forza. I don't know why. Maybe that's wrong. Who knows? But I think everyone has their own spin on it. Anyway, the game itself.
Thanks, Stephen, for derailing us.
I hear this also has a Burnout style Crash FM sort of announcer.
Several actually, but I guess we should.
Yeah, they always have.
We should first discuss. So we've been playing it. Josh and I have been playing it a ton. It's technically only out today.
Yes.
No.
Yes,
No. It came out on the 9th. So 2 days ago.
Okay.
For the people that aren't playing.
Yeah, but there were some reports of 500,000 people were playing it pre-release.
800,000.
800, even more. That's insane.
Yeah.
Oh.
Pretty crazy. for a game that you needed to buy. So to basically to get into the pre-release, what you needed to do was to buy what they were calling the premium pack, I think it was, and it contained the DLC as well as like a car and a few
bunch of
other
cars,
various bits and
not
pieces.
just one.
Bunch of cars, yeah. And that was like $60 on top of the game itself. Which, if you didn't have Game Pass, was like $100,
yeah.
I think.
We should say all of these prices are in Australian dollars, by the way. There are for any American out there listening, going $100. Yeah, no, Australian.
What the hell?
$60.
Yeah.
$60
party title. Weirdly, it was $100, but Horizon 4 on Steam was $105.
No.
It was kind of odd.
Yeah, which is pretty expensive for a game. I don't think they'd retail it at 73 in the US. It's probably 70. But like, yeah. So if you didn't have Game Pass and you wanted to play this and you were buying it through Steam or something, to play the pre-release, you would need to end up paying like $160, 163, I think it was total AUD, so Australian dollars, just to play the pre-release. So to have 800,000 people willing to do that for a game that kind of just hadn't really taken off too much. There wasn't a whole lot of press about it, just the standard Forza Horizon hype. That's pretty crazy. That's a lot of people.
I mean, to be fair, Forza is one of the main pillars of the Microsoft Xbox brand.
But it often
is,
often. I mean, that's not entirely true though, because Forza itself is split between like the motorsport line, which is the more kind of sim racing Gran Turismo competitor, and Horizon's like by comparison a fairly new line of titles. It's more the open world arcadey, takes after like Burnout 5, like Burnout Paradise quite heavily. It's quite a different focus. And obviously Forza itself is a big pillar of Xbox, but I think they cater to very different markets, and I don't see a lot of people that would I feel like a lot of people would have a preference for one over the other, even if they have both.
There's definitely a preference, but I feel like on the brand name alone, there's crossover, and there are definitely people that prefer the Motorsport or the Horizon and will get one or the other. But I think there's a big enough crossover there that most people just see the new Forza game is out, they'll buy it and have fun with it. It doesn't matter which one it is.
Yeah, but I mean,
just
even
like to get their racing fix.
Yeah, but even on that line, right? Like there's the difference between the guy who's like, oh, I know Forza, I like Forza, I'll go buy it, and the person that shells out like 1.5 times the price of the game to, I mean, what everything that Josh said was true. You get to play it early and stuff, but it's not that you paid $60 just to play it early. You're guaranteed to get the 2 DLC packs, which will be coming out eventually. You get a bunch of stuff in game. Like, it's not just that you're playing it for early access, but yeah, it is absolutely wild that a good proportion of 1 million people went and did this. So it's really cool to see.
It's just, to me, I don't think there's been actual hard sales numbers for Forza in quite a while, but I imagine it's like somewhere between like a $7 to $10 million, 7 to 10 million player sales figure across the board between the games.
Yeah.
So having like 800,000 people that are like shelling out that extra money for it doesn't really surprise me.
Right, I see. Yeah.
I mean, even to have 1/10 of people willing to commit to DLC that hasn't even been announced is still quite high. So
Yeah,
I still think it's pretty impressive.
Because I remember from the last Forza Horizon that came out, the DLC was like pretty big. So is that sort of what's expected at this?
Yeah, so that's going to touch on, because I've got like I've played this game for 40 hours already, and I've got like a laundry list of things that I could talk about or want to talk about. That I'll actually be touching on as one of the points. I guess we should actually discuss what the game is rather than just how its first -1 week release sales are doing. What have you been up to in it, Josh? How have you found it? I'll address what your point in a bit, Steve.
So, I mean, it probably is like what Seth said, important to draw the definition first. Obviously, it is like an open world sandbox, basically, of racing games where you'll drive up to a race and then race within that. Whereas Forza Motorsport is literally, as you were saying, Gran Turismo, you drive through that race. So a lot of what I've been doing in Forza Horizon has been very specific to Forza Horizon, which might not make a lot of sense if you didn't know what it was, where I've basically been driving around and collecting all these EXP boards, leveling up, basically trying to find all the barns and other bits and pieces, and then just collect cars and have a bit of fun on the ramps and doing more of the, I think it's a new format to Forza Horizon 5 called Expeditions, I think they were called, where basically you're more exploring the land and the setting and doing something within that rather than focusing on the cars really heavily. So I've been really doing a lot of that stuff and then just basic street racing and other bits and pieces. So I've probably gone into more of the exploration side of things rather than the actual motorsport side of things where I'm focusing on racing. Haven't really touched multiplayer too much, but it was fun while it lasted.
Yeah, so there's a couple of
So
points I want to touch on in that. So to give a little bit of context, it's a giant map. It's filled like the philosophy of it is just we'll give you a giant map and we'll just fill it with things to do. So that if you just pick an arbitrary direction on the map or an arbitrary spot on the map and just drive to it, there will be something to do there. And that can take the form of events where you've got like your classic like road racing series or street racing series. The difference being one's kind of like walled off tracks and kind of circuit races, and the other one's more just kind of a bunch of checkpoints on roads, and you got traffic and other hazards and things. You got your off-roads and that kind of thing. But outside of those sort of events that you can do and turn up, Josh was talking about how there's just a lot of kind of just ambient things that just exist in the world. And so that takes the form of things like XP, or well, just boards, where usually if you hit them,
which are basically billboards
yeah,
on lanes.
yeah, if you find boards, and these can be in some absolutely wild places, and smash them with your car, you get something. Usually it's in the form of a little XP boost, which contributes to a level up. And the way that they did it was quite smart, where it's you're constantly being given something. Like if you go and you smash enough boards, it will just give you a reward, and the reward can take the form of just money to, just in-game currency to go either buy a car, upgrade a car, or, spend on something, or just a car. and then you just have a car, and you do this enough times, and you'll just by driving around, it will just give you cars. And I guess we'll touch on a couple of points that people have brought up. So Seth talking about what was your comment? It was like the announcers. What was your? Yeah, the Crash FM radio host.
That one.
So
from Burnout.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so not from Burnout, but one staple of Horizon as far back as 3, because that's the first one that I started playing. I'm assuming was the case with 2 and 1 as well. You have a whole bunch of radio channels, and the radio channels all have distinctive radio hosts. But what's been cool about 5 is that in previous titles, it would just be like, you do something noteworthy, and the announcer might comment on it, and then it just goes back to like, now we're going to play another song, or that song was really cool, and now let's do this, and that kind of thing. Whereas in 5, it's a lot more personal. It's like you go and do a bunch of dirt races, and then whichever radio station you tune into, the game for that radio announcer says like the superstar, which is just you, the player, has been tearing it up on these streets. They've come and they've done X, Y, Z, and they're like it feels way more like it's kind of happening now, which was a really cool change. The other thing
probably just to sort of interrupt you there, it's probably really important to actually set more of what the actual setting is for Forza Horizon as well if you've never played it. Forza Horizon itself, like in the game, Horizon is basically a giant car festival that they bring to
It's like
country,
the Olympics.
and it's kind of like the Olympics, yeah, where they'll basically dump you in, and then, as Patrick was saying, there's the road racing, street racing, etc. They're all like little sub-brands that you have underneath that. And then as you level up in the game, your festival gets bigger, and there's more events, and there's more things happening. So for that, the radio people to be tying in with that was actually a really nice change. Something I noticed as well, which is really cool. But yeah, so
no, like it's all entirely valid, and we should also say it's Horizon is a very spectacle-oriented game. Like the game starts with you parachuting Fast and Furious style out the back of a cargo plane. And
not even one car, you parachute out like 3.
and then swapping across these cars to drive to the festival, which previous games have also made you drive to the festival initially, but certainly not with the same spectacle as this.
No, it was excellent.
Yeah, which yeah, is excellent. And we should also mention too that the map is bigger than it's ever been, but it's not bigger in the like we've just procedurally generated a larger map. All parts of this map feel very much more handcrafted than previous titles. And what do I mean by that? So like, so every Horizon game is set in a different place. Horizon 3 was set in Australia. Horizon 4 was set in Scotland or like UK, Scotland, that sort of
Somewhere in the
area.
UK,
I'm pretty
yeah.
sure it was basically Scotland. And Horizon 5 is Mexico. And what is always quite cool is that within each of those maps, you get very distinctive areas. So you had like in Horizon 3, you had like Surface Paradise, and you had like Byron Bay, and then you had like the kind of outbacky Uluru style, all these different geographies in what was, in hindsight, actually a fairly compact map compared to what 4 and 5 have done. But despite how distinct each of those little areas are, they're quite small. And so you whip through, say, Byron's Bay, and you're like, cool, that was Byron's Bay, and we'll continue on the Pacific Coast Highway, and then we'll hit Surface Paradise eventually. And it's fine, but there wasn't enough room for the areas to breathe and actually feel like their own distinct entities. And then 4 also kind of had that problem, where partially it is just because the geography of Scotland is much more similar. Like there isn't as much varied geography in Scotland as there is in Mexico, but there are parts of the Scotland map that are really cool. But again, you drive through them and you're like, cool, that was it, and now I'm into the next area. But in 5, you can spend a lot of time in just different corners of the map, and they all feel fairly distinctive, which is really well done. And then all of the road racing that you do is based on the roads that you just drive and that cars just drive throughout the game. And so it's really working in its favor when a lot of these are like you have like switchback roads up a mountain, for example, that turn into the circuit, because the switchbacks feel good to drive regardless of if it's a race or not. It just feels good to drive on the map. And so when it feels good to drive on the map, and then that's the track for your race, it automatically makes the race better to drive. Is that the impression you got as well, Josh?
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's very similar to other Horizon games where as you were saying, like obviously you're driving these roads, but you could race somewhere and then end up when you end the race like completely on a new area, and you'll explore and find new things because you've ended up in that part of the map, which is just really cool.
Yeah, and it does the thing where like you've just done like a race, and then you wind up somewhere and you're like, I want to do another race, and so you set your GPS for the closest race, but the closest race is 3 kilometers away, but you never end up making it there because you've been distracted with two smash boards to go and find, and then you'll get a phone call from one of the Festival Horizon people saying, hey, we accidentally lost a Ferrari in the desert again, in a barn somewhere, we need you to go find it. And then you see the race in the distance that you said that you were going to go and do, and then you've suddenly done a U-turn and you're disappearing the other way for just a million other things to do, which it's super cool.
I think one of the big impressions I got from this as well, like what you were saying, is not only the size of the map but the distinct parts of it. Obviously Mexico itself is very varied. I haven't been there, but I've seen pictures and everything, and there's like a volcano at the top of this map, there's like sandy areas, there's really tight road races through like old tunnels and architecture, like very, very unique parts of the map that don't feel small, like what you were saying with Australia and the UK as well. I think that's probably partially due to the new consoles having faster SSDs and stuff, but this also released on the Xbox One, so I'm rather curious to see how well it runs on that. But
oh man, I forgot they still release all these games on Xbox One. Yeah, I'm really curious to see how it goes there. I can't wait for the Digital Foundry video to go up if they do one.
I think it definitely does not run at 4K.
Oh yeah,
it probably barely runs at 1080p.
I'm most curious about the loading times, honestly. I want to see what Xbox One people have to deal with there.
Well, that's the thing, right? This gigantic world doesn't really have loading times unless you're going in or out of an expedition or a race,
or if you're playing
like
on a dying hard drive.
yeah.
like I was for the first 30 hours. Don't worry, new SSDs in, haven't had any problems since.
Hey, nice, congrats.
Thank you.
Experience.
Also want to say in conjunction with that, Horizon 4 was a beautiful looking game. Horizon 5 makes like is just even beautifuler. it's
It's like looking
stunning.
at McDonald's playgrounds for Horizon 4.
I mean,
They included a button that if you push it and your car is convertible, it drops the roof.
Holy shit. Oh, far out. Oh.
it's so good.
Now
It's a
And
real
it also
small
supports
touch,
RTX.
but it's so cool.
That's like in Final Fantasy 14 for me, where certain glasses and hats you type in /visor and it'll switch them between being over your eyes or being on top of your head.
Nice.
But yeah, I actually loaded up Forza Horizon 4 prior to playing this because I was very on the fence about whether I wanted to buy the DLC and play it early or not. And then after watching Patrick play it for like a minute, I was like, yeah, I'm in. But I played it and it looked amazing on my PC. Like my PC's beefy enough that I was able to run everything at max and it looked gorgeous. And then when I loaded up 5 for the first time with RTX on this bigger map, with all of these nice touches and even just the quality of the water and the dirt and everything is just blows me away. They've gone really all out, and I guess again part of that's probably the new consoles and them being able to support that on a bigger thing other than just PC. But it looks incredible and it plays extremely well unless you're trying to stream it via Discord, which I guess we can touch on as well a bit later.
I mean, we must bring it up now.
Yeah.
People found that when they were trying to screen share on Discord, myself included, that it would just crash Forza instantly. But in my case, it was because in order to play Horizon, I needed to update my graphics drivers, and I did that without restarting my computer. As soon as I restarted the computer, Discord worked fine. So I should say I'm playing on a 1080 Ti, and that's the newest piece of hardware in my computer. Everything else is older than that, and I didn't run into these issues after a restart. So I don't know what's plaguing the newer systems, but I'm glad it's not affecting me.
I'm not too sure. I'm sort of on the other side where I pretty much had to rebuild my entire PC this year. So I'm running a 3070 and I've got RTX on and all those sort of high end features, but I wasn't having this problem with Discord. So I don't think it's tied
so
to
it must
that
just be in the
either.
middle.
It might be in the middle, or it could be that
man,
people
no,
just
I got a
haven't updated their
2070.
drivers
I'm
at
in
all.
trouble.
Yeah, no, you're screwed, man. You'll have to just watch one of us play it or buy it on Xbox One.
Or the Series X.
Well, Seth doesn't have a Series X, but
Or an
maybe later.
Xbox One.
Yeah, that's true, actually. Did you ever have the Xbox, or did you sell it? Actually, that's
Well,
a
don't forget-
sidetracking. But
Don't
anyway,
forget it's available through cloud gaming as well.
The only
It
Xbox
is,
I've ever owned was a 360.
360 Master Race.
you are definitely able to play it via the streaming service, which I did
Oh,
test.
okay.
Not a fan. Obviously, if you have the hardware to play it locally,
Do it.
play it locally. Yeah, I tried to play that, and I tried to play. I've been replaying like Master Chief Collection on Legendary for the new Halo game, and I tried to stream that as well. That was borderline unplayable.
Imagine
so
streaming
you
on
can
Australian
stream it,
internet.
play it locally.
Couldn't be me.
I think that's the bigger problem. Yeah.
Couldn't be this country.
Miss me with that shit. I would like to quickly
guess-
touch on my laundry list of things, just because this is probably the longest we're going to talk about Horizon on this podcast, and there are a few points that I really want to bring up. So, Josh, you said that you played Horizon 4. Did you play any of Horizon 3, and how much Horizon 4 did you play?
Oh, I played a lot of Horizon 3. That was by far the one I played the
Okay,
most of. I
and
played probably a couple of hundred hours.
Steve and
of that.
Seth, have you touched Horizon much at all?
Yeah.
I have not played much Forza in general, no.
Sure.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
I put about 25, 30 hours into Horizon 4 last year, but I had it on the Xbox One X. And I'm not sure if I just got like a dodgy Xbox Series X. Sorry, an Xbox One X. It would crash like every hour. So I was like playing it for an hour, then it would crash, and then I just started again
You did end up sending
Yeah.
that
Yeah, I
Xbox
sent it
back
back
as well,
like
so it's very viable.
3 times, and it turns out there's a problem with the Glacier White models. That's that limited edition.
Yeah, my
Bites you in the
experience
ass.
I played it on
was
my One
mostly
X and I didn't
playing
have an issue.
Motorsport Free for a few tracks. Like, I played that for about an hour, and that's all my Forza experience.
Yeah, and Horizon would play very differently to that.
Mm.
So the first, so I've got 6 points. They're not that well. Some of them are longer than others. The first point is I don't think I've seen a lot of other people talk about this, but Horizon 3, because I keep saying Horizon 3 is the starting point. It might be the case with Horizon 1 and Horizon 2 as well. I don't know. I didn't play Horizon 1 and Horizon 2, but Horizon 3, 4, and 5 played, loved to death. That's sort of the scope of where I'm coming at this from. So at least since 3, they've made a point of introducing 2 DLC packs for each game. the first one is quite a serious, or you could see it existing in the Forza Horizon world as arcadey and sort of toony as it is, but it's still grounded in reality in some way. And the second DLC pack has always been just some outlandish, crazy, balls to the wall, like basically just a concept that went too far, or someone just snuck an idea past past the dev managers, and we wound up with just some crazy DLC area. But what I haven't seen people talking about is that every time they do that, they link it into the next game. So in Horizon 3, it was based in Australia, but the first DLC pack for Horizon 3 was Blizzard Mountain, where we got to see them modeling snow for the first time in a Horizon game, as far as I'm aware. And people will realize that in Horizon 4, when we had seasons and things, one of those seasons was, of course, winter, where there was snow and ice everywhere. I'm pretty sure they used Blizzard Mountain from DLC Pack 1 for Horizon 3 to test out some of the engine requirements for what they'd need for the seasons for Horizon 4. And then the second DLC pack was the Hot Wheels tracks, which was just bananas. That was a mind-blowingly awesome DLC pack. Man,
probably not as good as the one for 4 for the
and I'm getting to that, too.
Yeah.
So now we're in Horizon 4, and we have seasonality, which was awesome except for winter. And the reason I say that is because I loved the seasonality and I loved winter, but after a while, because it was always like 1 week was one season, and then it would just rotate week to week. I just got sick of winter so quickly, because it just became a case of, is your car all-wheel drive? Does your car have snow tires? If the answer to either of those is no, you're not going to have fun for 1 week of a month. You just kind of had to accept that. But the aesthetics and everything was great. But what was the DLC? What was the first DLC pack for Horizon 4? It was Fortune Island, where we got to see storm modeling for the first time. And what is now a major selling point for Horizon 5? Storms. So I'm
massive, yeah, especially the dust storms.
and the dust storm, and then tropical storm, because to really quickly touch on that, Horizon 5 still has the same seasonality as Horizon 4, but because the map is so large, they decided they're not just going to make one season for everywhere. They're going to do, so what I mean is there's no summer, spring, winter, autumn anymore. It's what is it? It's like hot, wet, dry, and tropical, I think.
Tropical storms, I think they were called.
So yes, there's hot season, wet season, storm season, dry season as like the analogies for it. But what that means is that in storm season, for example, we just mentioned that there's like tropical storms and dust storms, but it's not that the whole map is covered in a dust storm. It's that if you're in a deserty part of the map, you'll get a dust storm. If you're in a rainforesty part of the map, you get a tropical storm, which is just a really cool touch. But again, I'm pretty sure they tested out what they'd be able to do with that tech from the Fortune Island DLC pack for Horizon 4. And the final one that I want to get to is that the crazy DLC pack they had for Horizon 4 was Legoland, which was again
amazing,
mind-blowingly awesome as a DLC pack.
I remember seeing the Lego trailer and losing my mind for that.
Yeah, it was cool. But what is cool especially about it, this links through about 3 of the points that I want to touch. So I'm going to spend like 2 minutes on this one. So the way they did progression for the Legoland DLC pack was that they didn't do it based on events. So even Fortune Island and pretty much every other Forza game, Forza Horizon or DLC pack for Horizon, was based on, if you do enough events, we'll let you progress, which sort of makes sense because that's the racing game trope. But Legoland did something different. Legoland said, we're going to give you these things called accolade points, or they might have been called something different in Legoland, but that's what they're called in Horizon 5. We're going to give you accolade points, and just everything that you do, if there's some kind of little achievement or little serotonin boosting number that can go up, we would just give you points for that. And your progression is tied to the number of these little things that you do. And so they could be, winning a race, doing an event or whatever. That's the kind of normal stuff. Or they could also be unlock a certain number of cars, unlock a certain type of car, drive from one place to another with certain requirements and do that in a certain time, smash a certain number of Lego bricks in a certain amount of time will give you points. And what I've loved the most about Horizon 5 is that they have taken that same progression system and applied it to the main game. So now you'll have people that can drop into Horizon 5 and they can do the bare minimum number of events. They can, I don't even know what the bare minimum number is, but they can do very few events And just by driving around and getting accolades for just driving around and just doing things in their car, they automatically count that towards the progression, rather than in previous games where you had to do enough road races to unlock the next road racing piece, enough sprint races to do the next sprint race, like that kind of I want to say linear, but it's not quite linear, but you sort of know what I mean. Like the progression system is so different in 5 that it is very, very easy to access compared to previous titles. And previous titles weren't even that hard to access. But I think it's fantastic that they chose to use that same progression system from Legoland as the entire way that they did it in 5. Do we have any comments on that before I move on to the next point?
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of have like a few points I want to touch in on that as well, where, you know, I'm definitely that kind of player where I've been playing very little of the races, but I've just been exploring and, you know, doing what I love in Forza Horizon and collecting cars, pimping them out for no reason, smashing boards, you know, running over the ramps and seeing how far I can go, that kind of stuff. And I've leveled up quite high, like I'm like level 30 or something, within 20 hours of gameplay with doing very minimal races. And on the progression system as well, you know, in the previous Forza Horizons, you would choose to unlock like an event pack. So for example, you would unlock the drift pack or you'd unlock the street pack or whatever. Whereas this one, you can say, hey, I want to unlock the next event within the street pack or the drift pack. And you sort of choose, you know, you can smash out all of the drift one if that's what you're focusing on. And then you could drop the game if you really wanted to. Whereas the other Forza Horizons, you kind of had to like get through each event and then unlock them before you could progress too far within the 1 point. So I think that progression system overall is just much better as well.
Yeah, and so that ties in really nicely with the next of my point laundry list. We touched really briefly on expeditions, and I want to just expand that a little bit. So back in Horizon 3, they did a really cool thing where you had a central hub area, central festival area, and when you did enough events, you got to choose where the next satellite expansion for your festival would be. And that directly tied into the sort of events that would be unlocked for you. As an example, your I don't actually remember where the main festival site was in 3, but one of the expansions that you could get was an expansion out by the dam, and the expansion out by the dam gave you road racing events and a new car, and you eventually had to get this in order to progress and finish the game. And so what has been really cool with 5 is that I don't quite remember how they did it in 4, but I don't think they had satellite expansions in the same way as they did in 3. And I quite like the satellite expansion idea. They're like, you know, eventually the whole map is just going to be filled with people doing festivals and things. And so Josh brought up expeditions. Expeditions are a return to what Horizon 3 did, where we do satellite festival expansions. But instead of just saying, you've done enough races, congratulations, you've now just unlocked a new area, they have these very thematic and spectacle-driven, just awesome moments of you going and like setting up these new festival expansions. I don't want to give too much away because I think they're one of the highest selling points of Horizon 5, but there is one in particular which I have a favorite. I've done all of them and I have a favorite. I don't know how many you've done, Josh, or whether you have favorites.
Well. I think I've either done 3 out of 4 or 4 out of 4. I've done a lot of them, if not all of them. I think, without giving too much details away, I think my favorite so far has been the one for the float, which was excellent.
That was a good one. Yeah.
That was freaking awesome. I loved it.
My favorite one would be the volcano.
Oh, okay. So I haven't done all of them. Okay. So I'm probably one off, and that's probably the one I'm missing.
That one, it's. Yeah, if you want to know whether or not you'd be into Horizon, play the intro and play the Volcano Expedition. That's a great litmus test.
The volcano area in general is probably my favorite area of the game, so I'm definitely keen for that. And you know, I guess to sort of throw out, you know, if you're not too sure, like I honestly, as much as I love Horizon, Forza Motorsport was always my baby. I loved 7, I loved 6, I loved 5. I played all of those ones, and I smash out Gran Turismo as well. I love those kind of like more simmy kind of games. But which actually, Forza Horizon 4 released in 2018. This released now in 2021 when's there going to be another motorsport? Microsoft, come on.
Yeah, they've said
It's been
they've
fucking
said that
years.
it's coming. But...
Yeah, it's
It better
They
be.
removed the number.
So stable. They did remove the number.
Well, maybe it might come a bit.
But anyway,
sooner than
I
what we
think
because GT, like the Gran Turismo side for PlayStation, is probably coming out next year. I think they said
it's coming in February-ish. Oh no, it got delayed to like
it got delayed. So it'd be interesting to see if Microsoft does like a big push. Hopefully they don't rush a motorsport out, but at the same time, if they put Horizon out now, honestly, 12 to 24 months.
It's time.
Okay, March. It's coming out March 2022.
Oh.
So I'll have to buy a PS5 for that. So I'm keen for that one.
We did have that agreement that if I don't pay you back for the PS5 by then you get to take it for Gran Turismo.
Making me sound like a monster, but
No, I was the one that made that deal. I was
the
the one that offered
Repo
it.
Man comes for us all eventually.
But yeah, I really love motorsport. It's definitely still my favorite of the Horizon games, but you don't get the spectacles in this. Like, I don't want to go into spoilers, so I'm not going to talk about an expedition, but to expand a little bit more around the very first intro of the game, you drive the 3 different cars, you end up choosing one of the cars, and they're all quite cool cars. I suppose it doesn't really give too much away. Like, the first one is like what they offer you is like a Chevy of some kind. I don't remember exactly what it is. I think it's the Z06.
The Stingray. It's the late model Stingray,
okay.
the 2019 mid-engine one.
Okay, well, there you go. That's that one. They give you a Bronco, I think, was the second car, and then the new Supra, the 2020 Supra.
Oh,
so you get to choose one of these 3 cars that you race a few of them, I think, or similar versions of them as you're driving to the festival. But they say, hey, choose one of these 3 cars.
I'm thinking it's
and then
the second one's definitely a truck. I don't think it's the Bronco. I think it might be a Land Rover.
I'm pretty sure it is I'm pretty sure it's the Bronco, because I haven't got a Range Rover at the moment, or a Land Rover.
Either way, a truck.
I've definitely got a Bronco. But either way,
only
it's
a
like
psychopath
a truck,
would pick that over either the Stingray or the new Supra, though.
Yeah, I mean, I ended up picking the Stingray, but I mean, I do kind of like the new Supra. Yeah.
It's too soon, man. Too soon.
It's not Forza Horizon 3. But you drop into the festival. They bring out 3 more cars out of this plane. Go choose one, and you're thinking, like, looking at this, going like, this is going to be like a Pokemon starter choice, right? But they give you all 3 cars anyway, and you can swap between cars at any point, anywhere you are in the map. But to tune them, you have to go back to the main festival thing.
Well, to upgrade them, you have to go back to the main festival. To tune them, you can do that from wherever.
Oh, you can, you can. Sorry, to tune them as in like literally change parts and upgrade. Yes, you have to go back to the main section to just tweak things like your suspension and your brakes and whatnot. You can do that anywhere, and including before a race. So one of my favorite pastimes, if this is going to sell anyone on the game, is to pick up a very slow car. Like they have speed ratings and classes. There's a certain car that's like 100, and it's like 10 kilowatts for the entire car, and it's like this front door opening old school BMW. I don't even remember what the car is
that's
called.
the shoot. I
know, I can't remember what it's called either.
I can see it in my mind. It's got the weird wheelbase where the front 2 wheels are wider than the back 2 wheels.
Yeah. And the entire like front door literally just opens up as the car.
Oh.
But this thing's like 10 kilowatts, and you can upgrade it for like 100 credits. It is a death trap, and I pimped it out so that it had 500 kilowatts. And all of a sudden, I was racing this tiny little thing that whenever I tried to turn, I would power slide everywhere, and I just couldn't use the brakes because I just had to drift around a corner. That to me is like peak fun. I absolutely love doing that, driving the maps. There was this like old school van, this Ford van. I can't remember what they're called as well off the top of my head. I'm not my strong suit right now, but
Ford Transit.
It was a Ford Transit, and it was like super slow. Like it took like 3 minutes to do a lap around this one race that me and Craig were doing, which was another one of our friends. And I was like, you know what?
They might not think we have friends unless you point it out.
Yeah. But we were like, okay, we'll do this car and it'll be a meme. And they adjust the races according to what car you're driving. So we were all driving this really slow van, and like we would turn a corner and we would just hold down, accelerate, and pretty much the race finished where everyone started because we just didn't have the speed to go anywhere.
Right.
And then I came back after I'd pimped out this van, and all of a sudden I was driving this like class S2 or S1 van that was just absolutely smashing things, and the game just didn't know how to adjust, and it started racing us against these really kitted out like SUVs and stuff.
Really
rather
loosely,
than these vans.
S1 is supercar, S2 is hypercar. Just to give some
pretty much.
like a really broad stroke comparison.
But the game just sort of went, I can't believe you've done this. I don't know how to cope. And just started racing us against like these classes that were like B class and A class, which are the ones below S1 and S2, where basically there were kitted out SUVs or like the Ford Broncos and stuff like that. But my van, because it was a similar type of car, they were matching it with me. And I was just smashing them. Like I lapped them in 3 minutes. And to me, I was like obviously that wouldn't happen online, but to do that kind of stuff and just have fun in the broader stroke of the world was just it's definitely worth playing. I think it's a great addition to the Forza Horizon series.
The last 2 points, the negatives, just because they're quick. I should say the game isn't perfect. All of the driving aspects I love and I think they're perfected. All of the pieces outside the driving aspect, there are bits of it that I don't like. Number one, why does my character talk, and why can I only pick between 2 voices?
Yeah, I would agree on that one. I don't even think you talk.
You haven't. You definitely have not, because it was jarring to hear me in it. I'm doing air quotes. Me in Horizon 5 talking with like a pompous British like I don't know UK accents, but annoying British accent.
They were very annoying, and because you choose a name for the most part, or a nickname if your name is in the list, which it is quite a big list, but you would choose a name out of it, and there's a voice line for that character, so they'll introduce you as like, hey superstar, most of the time, but whenever they can, they'll throw in your name, so they'll be like, hey Josh, or hey Patrick, or whatever. So you're also talking like just with these people, and they're trying to make you feel like you're in this situation by addressing you by your name, but the dialogue is so cringe.
Oh no, I think
that you just don't want to hear it.
The dialogue I find humorous. It's the delivery that I find cringe.
I find both of them pretty
fair
cringe.
enough.
And especially because I have a habit of picking a girl character in a game, because I just always do. So it picked up my name from my Microsoft profile, and it made me choose a girl, it made me choose a voice. I chose the female voice, and then all of a sudden it's like, hey Josh, and I was like,
you what?
And then I responded.
Yeah, and I went through, and you can change all that stuff later. But oh man, it was a little touch that was meant to be good, but I think definitely still needs some work. So I agree with you there.
And the final comment, the thing that spoils what would otherwise be a fantastic, like, it prides itself on being a social open world arcade racer, but my word, the number of multiplayer problems I've had across Horizon 3, 4, and 5, like, I have a master's degree in physics and an undergraduate degree in mathematics, and I could not figure out the multiplayer.
Is it problem with the lobby or something?
It's the problem is they have systems, and they don't tell you what systems you need just to play with a friend. Like, all I wanted to do was just play with a friend, and we played in Horizon 4, we played in Horizon 3, we get to Horizon 5, cool, how do we play together? And in Horizon 4, I still didn't like it then, but you just learned the sequence that you needed to do to get into an online game with your friend. And weirdly, it's the same sequence now, it's just even less clear. So there's like a convoy system, which is I'm like in your party, as it were, but we don't have to be in the same session, which is already kind of weird, but we can do events and things. And so I wanted us to be in the same session. That way we could actually, drive on the same map, play online. But it's a different multiplayer system between convoy and session. And it's frustrating to me that they can't get that part smoother, because it's the same problems from Horizon 4 and Horizon 3. The only thing, which at one time was even worse, is that initially a whole bunch of people, myself included, was just getting randomly disconnected from servers. And they say, press left bumper for network diagnostic information. You're like, cool, what are my network diagnostics? It says you've been disconnected. Fantastic. Awesome. What are my options? Retry or Horizon Solo? I'll press retry, and then 5 minutes later, you've been disconnected, and it would just cycle endlessly. Now, to their credit, in the last couple of days, they've introduced patches, and I haven't had it happen since. But
they're also, to hark back to the 800,000 people pre-release. That was when I was having the vast majority of those issues. I don't think they were expecting those numbers, so I
No,
think
no, no, no. But
that there's
even
probably a little
so,
bit of leeway.
it's not just that though, because the system that they use to connect people to the servers, I'm pretty sure is Torito using Windows, which um, it's kind of like you have a game that you've paid and used, but it uses systems in Windows that you would otherwise never touch. And in Horizon 4, there were big problems with Torito connections and people using the Xbox Companion app because it would just refuse to connect you to the server unless you hacked registry keys for your Torito settings. And for a
Interesting.
while, when all of these rampant disconnects were happening, I was worried that that same thing would be happening in Horizon 5. But as I said, after the patches, and you're right, it probably was a lot larger of a launch than they were predicting. But I am I am really hoping we're not back into the same uh, find Torito hacks online from forums and things because holy hell, like a cornerstone of why Horizon is so much fun is the casual open world social aspect of it. And my word, is it difficult for that one cornerstone to stand up if you're just plagued with network problems that don't seem to be your own fault. Um,
It is actually strange you say that because this is the first one I've played online, and it's the first one I've even bothered trying to do the multiplayer. And like I said, I was playing online with Craig, one of our friends, and I I struggled. It took me like the better part of 20 minutes to get this thing working, and then even then it would disconnect every 10 minutes or so. And we would drive up to people like each other and other people in the convoy, and they would just straight up disappear, and we had no idea or no context. So we're trying to like do these skill boards and stuff together that are in weird places and do jumps and do some of these races and everything, and find barns, and pretty much everything except the race itself just didn't
yeah,
work.
but
It
aside
was
from
pretty
that,
bad.
like I don't want those downsides to take away from it. I'm just saying well, the networking especially, I don't really care about the character voice. The networking especially has the potential to bring this game down if it's going to be an issue in the future. But as of recording this, at least, it seems like whatever patches and fixes that they've put in place have mitigated 99% of those issues. I've been disconnected a couple times, but nothing that's been too terrible. And in every other way, this is such a good racing game and easily the best in the Horizon series so far. Any closing thoughts from you, Josh, before we move on?
No, I definitely think it is probably the best Horizon game so far as well. I just really am excited to see what the DLC is going to be, to be honest. So I'm keen to see what they're going to do that's going to be a serious one, and then what's going to be a silly one. I'm Yeah, especially since there's usually like the Fortune Island and stuff tied in very very well to that sort of, I guess, setting. And so did like the snow with the Blizzard Mountains. Like we have like blizzardy mountains in Australia, so I'd be interested to see if it's going to be like loosely based around Mexico as well, and to see what other kind of map section they're going to add in, because they're pretty much going to add another map section.
What if
So
it was the
definitely really
US border?
interested. Let's not go into politics, but yeah,
A
I think
discussion for another time,
that would be pretty
perhaps.
fun.
But if it is, you heard
Something
it here
filmed around
first.
like I'd really love to do like to see something around like the Parade of the Dead and stuff that they do. I can't remember what it is in Mexican language, but
Dia
that'd be
de
really
los
cool. Like
Muertos,
just to
I'm
see
pretty
that
sure.
artistic change,
But
something like
yeah.
that. Yeah. Obviously I don't speak Spanish, but yeah, to have something that's a very drastic art style switch up would be really cool, and I'm really excited to see what the next silly one's going to be if they keep that same
Did they bring
formula.
back that battle royale mode that Forza Horizon 4
Eliminator,
had?
yes, they did.
Yeah,
Yes, they
They
did.
fantastic.
did.
I was honestly shocked. We'll do a minute because I realize how long we've spent on Horizon 5. So, for context, Eliminator first announced alongside the wave of battle royale modes that people were just cramming into games, and I thought a battle royale mode in Forza Horizon, fine, whatever. I'm never going to touch it because the PvP is toxic as hell.
Yeah.
and so in this game, in Horizon 5, they said, hey, if you play this and do better than last, we'll give you a car. And I thought, well, if I'm
Oh,
going to
that's
try it, I
pretty
might as
good.
well try it. I am honestly shocked how well it works. It's Fortnite-y, and you choose where on the map you want to drop in. You drop into that point. Everyone starts in the '68 Volkswagen Beetle. That's considered a level 1 car, and then they just put what in Fortnite would be weapon drops around the place, but in this case, car drops, and you just want to level up your car as much as possible. And you eliminate other players by challenging them to a head-to-head. And
That's
yeah,
cool.
real simple. The only thing I don't like, there's no team aspect to it. So us being in a party together, Josh, we would still be just basically making a truce, playing eliminated together. But otherwise,
There's no truce. You're going down.
no peace. Otherwise, a thoroughly enjoyable game mode, and I am surprised. I'm comfortably surprised at how good it is, considering how bad I had set it up to be.
Yeah.
From just assuming it was an ad hoc thing that they'd stuck in for.
Yeah, I really
I remember
liked it.
them talking about
It's pretty
releasing
good.
it. Did you see? I didn't play it in 4, and then I took one look at it and basically did what you did. I was like, I don't want a battle royale in my like open world racing sim. Why on earth would I want that? And then I looked at it in number 5, and it was really sort of directing me to go there. And I've just still been avoiding it. But if it's the head to heads, and it's the same as the way that the head to head works in the multiplayer convoys, where it basically just sets up a
Yep.
part of the map and you just
Yep.
race there. So yeah, that's awesome.
It's that,
Like,
and
I'm really keen
and
to
it
try
does the
that.
battle royale thing where the map slowly shrinks, so people have to 1v1 each other more.
Yeah, it's
Can you
in
reject
four,
the
it's
race with the
fantastic.
head-to-head?
It was. I went into it expecting nothing, and I was like pleasantly surprised, and I kept doing it.
Yeah.
And I never got any better, but it was still pretty good.
You have to, like, if you challenge someone to a head-to-head, there's no back out. Like it's okay,
It's on,
we're doing this.
And if you're facing the wrong way, you're
Okay.
off center, like you already lost.
Yeah. Or if
Oh, wow.
someone challenges you and they don't realize that you're in a better car, free win.
Yeah. Exactly.
The final thing, hidden gem. One of the horns you can get. Some of the horns have been fantastic. Horizon 4 introduced the XP
So
shutdown noise.
good.
Horizon
Yes.
5 gets the Windows 10 notification sound,
Uh,
or the Microsoft Teams calling sound.
Which I just unlocked. 10 out of 10.
Having been in a multiplayer lobby where someone has those, it is just as toxic as it sounds, and I am all here for
Imagine the
it.
flame war. It's just the team thing going off, doing flashbacks to work, and just having a seat
Yeah.
on the ground. There is no
all
escape.
all
Yeah.
of that. All of that. Anyway.
You can only get them from a wheel spin as well, so it's luck. And I got some really cool cars out of those wheel spins, which are like the RNG things. And then I got the team's call sound, and it's the most happy I've been in the game
Yeah.
so far.
Yeah, no, all definitely good selling points. Horizon 5 out now. Check it out. Thoroughly recommend. That
If I may be so bold,
Sure.
While you guys were talking about that, I found out that Digital Foundry did in fact do a Xbox performance test video.
Ooh.
So I'd just like to throw out a few numbers if you guys are at all interested in that.
Yeah, hit me
Oh,
with
for
the numbers.
So the Xbox One S performs the game at 800p to 1080p, and it's 30 FPS only.
Oh my god.
You
that's
and I
terrible.
can't see more than
1X.
24 frames a second, so it's fine.
You shut up. 1X is 1600p to 4K, also locked at 30 FPS. Series S is 1080p minimum, 1440p maximum for 30 FPS, or 810p to 1080p for 60. Series X is 4K fixed for 30 FPS and 1600 to 4K for 60 FPS.
Yeah, I'm not
And for
surprised.
loading time comparisons, there are some instances where the One S and the One X are basically instant no loading times, while the older consoles have anywhere between 24 to 40-ish seconds of loading. And there was one instance where the series consoles had about 10 seconds of loading, while the One consoles had about 25 seconds of loading.
Interesting.
Buy it on PC. All I can say.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
I don't have
buy
loading
on
times
PC,
and I run it at 4K.
or if you have the series consoles, get those.
Yeah.
Series X.
As I say, I'm running on
I-
what's effectively circa 2012, 2013 hardware and a 1080 Ti, and I haven't had any issues. I don't know what
And
frame rate
that's-
that I'm running
that's
at, but it looks great.
And that seems to be outperforming the Xbox One consoles.
Yeah, excellent. And with that long discussion about Forza Horizon 5, that brings us to the end of the gaming segment. Next up, we will run through some news. The news this week looks relatively light. It'll be a bunch of pretty quick things, and then discussion on Elden Ring. So I'll kick things off, and it's Forza Horizon 5 again. But just because it's separate enough that it shouldn't have been part of the game discussion, but boy is it funny. Basically, after that discussion that we just had about Forza Horizon 5, one of the things that we didn't touch on, but wasn't really a core part of the game, for Josh or I anyway, is that for each individual car, if you just drive around and just do stuff in that car, if you build up like a skill chain, like a combo, driving, near missing, similar kind of system as other games, it'll just give you skill points, and these skill points can be used on any car, and they just give you like little perks. They don't change the performance of the car, they just change how like the combos work. So you'll get more combo points for certain actions, and it's like a little tree. So you have a certain number of skill points, you pick the things that you want on whatever car. Now, some absolute mad lads on the internet figured out that if you buy a Wiley's Jeep, maybe it's Willie's Jeep, I don't know how you say it. It's
1945 Willys
Uh-huh,
MG.
yeah, so the old like World War II like Grandpa Simpson driving type Jeep. If you buy that, it's only 40,000 credits in game, which is really not a lot. Like the cheapest car you can buy, I think, is about 20,000 for context. And so what they found is that if you put in a very small number of skill points, you can get what's called a super wheel spin, which gives you 3 better than normal rewards, and so you are almost guaranteed to get more than the 40,000 credits back. And so what people have been doing is stocking up a bunch of money and a bunch of skill points and just buying a ton of these Jeeps for the super wheel spin. Now, there's also a mechanic that they've introduced in Horizon 5. We didn't touch on it because, again, it's not it's not like a game shifting thing. Gifting players cars. There are people that play too much Horizon, like I did, and say Horizon 4, where your garage will eventually just fill up and you can't buy any more cars. And so you need to get rid of them, either by selling them through the auction house, or, as of Horizon 5, you can gift them to other players. So, what has been happening? Some of you out there might have figured it out. People are buying a ton of these 1940s Willys Jeeps for $40,000, putting enough 40,000 credits, putting enough skill points in there for the super wheel spin, and then just giving it to someone else. Which means that if you receive a gift in game, like I did earlier today, you have a 110% chance that it's going to be someone's already abused Willys Jeep, which is basically just serving as a loot box vector at this point. But it is so funny because now we have people on the internet calling for Playground Games, the developers of Horizon 5, to in some way nerf the Jeep, which is already pretty terrible from a performance standpoint, or limit the number of times people can gift other players cars, or just at least limit the number of Jeeps people can buy. It's absolutely wild, and all of this was discovered and happening effectively day one of Horizon 5's release, which means you have a whole bunch of new players coming to the game going, "Ooh, I have a gift from another player," kind of like Pokemon Wonder Trading, and to then get a shitty Jeep at the end of it is just so funny to me.
I want to bring up a few things about this as well. Is that the first one? You can't deny a gift. Once you find it in the barn, it just goes to your garage. You don't get a chance to say, "Please, no, I don't want it." And the other thing is that when you gift a car, you can choose basically like a dynamic for it to go to, and one of them is new players.
Yeah.
So
That's what I was
you
going
can
to touch
spam
on.
it to new players.
Yeah, you can spam it to new players, and when you receive it, you do have the option to not say anything, but the game tries really hard to make you say, "Thank you for this shitty Jeep I will never use," to the player that sent it to you. It's amazing.
I think the 4 or 5 options you get are something along the lines of like,
I will take good
"You've
care of
made
this
my
car."
day, thanks," or "I really like this car. Yeah, I'll take care of this car." And then there's one that's just like, "Thank you," and then just don't send a message at all. So all these people are getting messages like, "Yes, thank you for your spare garbage."
And it's not even like Pokemon where you get traded the car and it doesn't listen to you until you get a certain number of badges.
And the car
I
revolves.
appreciate
You can
any
immediately
way for
re-gift it, though.
people to just abuse loot box systems like this and just cheat the system for rewards.
I mean, it does kind of kill the, I guess, progression path through Forza. If you really wanted to, you could just drive that car in the open world, very, very quickly get the super wheel spin, very quickly unlock like all of these cars and have all the credits to buy all the cars and all the upgrades. So it kind of takes away from the game a little bit, which is the only really sort of down thing I have to say about it. But yeah, no, otherwise,
But you don't
it's a
have
bit
to
of
do
fun.
it. Like,
It's pretty funny.
Exploit's an exploit.
You don't
like,
have to do it at all, no.
If people want to play that way, they're only ruining their own experience.
Yeah, well that's the thing is that like this behavior like Forza because it doesn't really have a focus on competitive to get a competitive car usually isn't that prohibitive. Like people just stocking up on money from abusing this exploit, they in most cases won't get any kind of competitive advantage and it'll just mean that they have more money to buy a shiny new toy that they like in the auto show. So
Yeah.
it's kind of one of those. It's not really harming anyone except the people receiving just floods of shitty Magic Cup Jeeps.
Maybe the real
It's
Forza
great.
is the Jeep they made along the way.
Oh man, I'm curious to see what Playground Games does in response to this, or if they don't do anything at all. Anyway, enough about that one. Seth, you also have some Forza news for us.
Yeah, so this just like popped into my periphery vision as we were talking about things. So earlier Josh mentioned that the game addresses you by your Microsoft account name, and unfortunately that has the side effect of dead naming trans players at the moment.
Oh, it probably would.
Yeah, it 100% is right now, and yeah, it's not great.
I mean, you can change that literally almost immediately, like after like 20 minutes of gameplay. And to be fair, it is pulling from your Microsoft profile, which is data that you enter. Obviously,
Yeah.
these
Yeah, this
people
is
have forgotten about it, forgotten to change it.
this
But
is probably something that people didn't expect, and like they probably just
yeah,
never change their Microsoft account name because why would they, sort of thing.
yeah, like it's not something that Microsoft has done
Yeah,
that
no,
has
it's not
been
intentional.
a mistake on their
It's
side,
just an
really.
unfortunate side effect at the moment.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
That news isn't nearly as funny as the shitty Jeep exploit.
yeah, no,
No.
it like it's definitely not. I just wanted to bring this up because it just popped into my periphery vision as we've been talking about Forza, and I kind of felt like it needed to be addressed. But
Yeah. I mean, probably not from Microsoft side of things. It honestly is it's an onerous on your own sort of side of things to change that, to change the setting in the game or change the setting in your Microsoft account. But it is very unfortunate. So yeah, obviously it's a bit of a downbeat, but I guess we can finally move on from Forza.
Yeah. The other little piece of news that I want to bring up, just because it's the last thing that I wanted to talk about. Do you guys remember Nickelodeon All Star Brawl? That game
The
that came
Smash
out with
Killer.
yeah, yeah, the Smash
Michael
killer of
Winslow
its
wants
time,
to
the
go
one that they
home.
decided to, the one
that's
that
not Danny
dropped when they
Phantom.
the one that dropped when they released Sora, right? The Sora release
Yes.
trailer was the the
That's how you
direct.
know that
Or
Yeah.
Nintendo's
was it?
threatened by
Yeah,
Yeah. They have to bring in their big guns to make sure
big
that people
gun.
don't stray to Nickelodeon All Star Brawl. Well,
They
the thing is,
had
it
to go
worked.
to Papa Disney to get them out of this mess.
Yeah, and Papa Disney did in fact bully Nickelodeon All Stars into oblivion because I thought it was just me in not seeing as much content as I did for like the day one, week one content creators on YouTube making things for it. But no, if you look at the Steam Play account, which I get isn't representative of all the platforms that it's on and everything else, but it has just been in free fall since it came out. It's at the point where Artifact, remember that game? The game that Steam, like Valve themselves said, this is a dead game. We'll make everything free if you want to play it, but there is nothing more to this game. Like, we're sorry, we screwed up. Only has like a few players less than Nickelodeon All Star Brawl now.
Yeah, no, as
It's
far
down
as
to like
I know,
50 a day, right?
Nickelodeon All Star Brawl did the best on Steam because PC was where you'd be able to mod in some things that were missing, but the game just has some general, let's say, lack of polish that
Yeah, it became
that
pretty clear from the week one videos.
yeah. So just because of that, it's kind of lost its legs as soon as it came out.
Mm. Which, yeah, it's funny in one sense because I don't know, there's something funny about seeing a game with so much hype just fall face first into the ground. But it is sad given that a lot of particularly the developer content for it, hey, like, let me show you how this character worked. They seemed really sincere and happy to show you what they've made that
Oh
I
yeah,
can't
no,
help but feel bad for them.
yeah, no, the developers like really cared about that game. It's just that the Nickelodeon didn't give them a budget. They didn't even like give them past the voice lines to throw in there for the
Yeah, that's
characters.
really
So
disappointing.
it's yeah, like watching gameplay, it's really weird because you just get the background noise and some like slappy sound
Like
effects
grunts
as
and
hits go
things.
off. You don't
Yeah.
even get grunts.
sounds
It's
like
just
Mac
No?
weird
Friends.
slaps and hits. There's no character voices at all.
Well, anyway, that was the end of my just two sad news stories in a row. Wow. Any happier news that someone wants to toss in, or I don't know, floors
happier
open up.
news.
Who wants to go next?
If we're gonna do happy news, I wouldn't mind tying in one first because it is the greatest thing I've heard this week,
Go on.
and it's that Chris Pratt will not be voicing a character in the DMZ anime.
So this has taken
Thank
my
God.
hype from the anime to be a 10 out of 10 to a 9 out of 10.
You could not be more wrong. But that's all I want to say about that.
Imagine
I
Chris
think
Pratt as
Steven had a few
Dante.
things.
It would have been perfect.
Please God.
Chris Pratt as Virgil, even better.
Hang on, so wait, so
I don't want to talk
hang on,
about this.
who's Chris Pratt again?
He's
voice
the
of
original
Mario, of
Mario voice
course.
actor.
Oh yeah, Mario guy. Yeah. Okay, I'm with you.
You might have also heard him in the upcoming Garfield film.
Yes.
You might have also heard his recent ad libs of Wahoo. I'm Mario.
Monday, right?
He was the one that shook the hand of Sora in the final announcement trailer.
I thought he was voiced by
yeah,
Chris Pratt.
also star of the hit game Guardians of the Mario Galaxy.
So where does Mario sit in the Marvel Cinematic Universe?
Oh,
This
he's
physically
dead. He's
pains
been
me.
replaced by Chris Pratt.
What about the Garfield Cinematic Universe?
also
dead.
Chris Pratt. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's a weird crossover, but I believe that they can make it work. The real question is whether Chris Pratt is the title character for Mario Kart 9.
I'm sorry to announce this, but episode 3, we are all being replaced by Chris Pratt.
Welcome to the Chris Pratt cast, right?
I wonder if we could find a voice modulation thing for that.
Oh.
Oh my God, that'd be so funny. But I guess on other small news, since I was talking about things that should not be talked about, don't really want to go into it, but League of Legends now has an anime out on Netflix that they're releasing weekly. I think at this point they're now up to 2 episodes. Genuinely looks pretty good.
I've been
I've
hearing
heard
good
that-
things.
Yeah, I've been hearing good things about that too. That's Arcane, I think.
I think it's called Arcane, yeah. And it's, I mean, Dota did it, so of course they had to do it. So
Yeah, but the
this one looks better
Dota
than the
tie-in
Dota
was to
one, though.
release the most busted character in Dota that we've seen in years. So if they're doing a League tie-in, good luck. Good luck, everyone out there that still plays League.
Turn left now. Good luck, everybody else.
Yeah, you and your leapfrog like learning PC that you play it on are probably going to get smashed by whatever character they release from Arcane. But good luck to you out there.
Yeah. So, yep, that happened. And then I pretty much really the only other thing that's sort of small news, so I really want to cover off is that yet another version of Skyrim is being released as of today in
That's
recording,
right.
which is the 11th.
Ugh.
It is containing Creators Club DLC that hasn't been released yet, as well as some that has been released, and includes like fishing and other bits and pieces. We all know Skyrim at this point. We all know the drill.
Yeah, can you tell us a bit about that game?
Todd, I bought your game once. Please leave me alone.
Oh, don't worry, I bought it twice. It's fine.
I've bought it stupid amounts of times, and I will probably end up buying it again when it goes on sale because, like I said about Voice of Cards, I have no
think
self-control.
there's like a special, you can pay like $20 and that gives you all the access to that the anniversary content if you already own the anniversary. Sorry, if you already own the Legendary Edition. So you don't have to purchase it
But
for
then,
the 49th time. You can if you want. Don't think you should, but
I heard that's when it
I
gets
just
good
want
though.
Papa Todd to love me, you know? Like, I just want him to show my affection for Skyrim so that we can finally get another version when it releases on the next generation of
well, I think
consoles.
that's what they released.
Next generation of consoles. I think they're due next year.
Let's
What,
not
are we talking about Switch?
No, not the consoles. I mean Skyrim. Another
Oh,
release
yes.
of Skyrim is due next year.
Oh, yeah,
Well, they've got
probably.
that Starfield game coming.
Skyrim with
The
fishing,
best
but
of the
also
Starfield
with,
games
like,
coming out
something
soon.
else.
So hopefully they're just releasing more Skyrim games to help print money for the Elder Scrolls 6, Skyrim 2.
But they just got bought by Microsoft. How much more money do they need?
Did they need money
All
because
the
of the
money.
amount of Skyrim so far? Who knows?
Right, well, that's pretty much it for my news. If you want to sort of throw in
Yeah,
some of yours,
definitely.
Stephen.
So I'm not sure if you guys have heard, but there's like a little anime called Boruto, and it turns out his dad is being put into Fortnite.
Whoa, that seems like a
who's his
really
dad?
minor character to put into Fortnite.
I mean, it makes
Yeah.
it makes sense. His signature move is called Rasengan.
That's it. That's it. Can't fucking do this anymore.
Welcome to episode 3. We have lost Steve.
Yeah, for those that can't see the podcast right now, which is all of you, Steve is walking away from the computer.
I've Rasengan my way out of my life. But yeah, so Naruto is coming to Fortnite. Believe it.
Finally.
The number one thing I want from
Believe it.
this crossover is for everyone to start Naruto running the weekend he's
So
out.
I guess
Oh,
so
man.
the things that I've been seeing online, we are living in a timeline where it is going to be cool to Naruto run in school because the blonde kid, because Rick Sanchez from Fortnite is doing it.
Yes.
Oh, man,
Yes, it will be.
This is the worst timeline.
I
What a
hated every
timeline.
word in that sentence. There's not a single part of my body that was okay with anything that was just said there.
Welcome to me with Chris
You
Pratt.
can have Naruto default dancing on top of Master Chief.
Master
Oh,
Chief
God, no.
Naruto.
while Thanos watches.
Master Chief Naruto running would be the best. Kratos Naruto running.
Just imagine all the lobbies filled with
Yeah.
Sasuke, where are you dropping?
It's just Jump Force.
Yeah.
Speaking of Jump
Yeah, it's like-
Force, that game is dead as fuck. They are. I'm guessing it was licensing issues, but that game's and its DLCs are being taken off all digital storefronts in February, and its online services are ending in August.
I don't think it was
Whoa.
a licensing issue, because from what I understand, it was Jump that actually published it, and because it was only Jump, it's not like as if you could lose it because they own all the IPs, from my understanding.
I think it might have something to do with the Western side because the licenses are out to different dubbing companies.
Sure. Yeah, I don't really know.
If every character in that game is Chris Pratt, how many licensing issues
Well,
could
they
there
don't have
be?
any of the dub voices, though.
Please
That's what
no.
the whole thing is. But at the same time, I played that game quite extensively last year. It is exactly what you think it is. It is Goku punching.
A lot of jumping and a lot of
Yeah,
forcing.
like yelling off, oh, my powers are increasing. A lot of...
It was literally a mistake made by Japanese developers trying to appeal to Western gamers.
Yeah, and the way that the 3D models look off, the fact that they've got, like...
I've hated it ever since I noticed Frieza's teeth in the first trailer.
That's right, that's there as well. Like, it's,
Frieza's weird baby teeth.
but they've been dropping...
The moment that Kira pops up is the worst part
Yeah.
of gaming history.
But they've been dropping...
They didn't even make Kira a playable character.
Yeah, that's right, he's in there.
No.
Kira Ryuga in there. And you can get your own OC characters in there, do not steal. But they've been dropping DLC for it, like, quite frequently. Like, I think I saw, like, 3 or 4 months ago, they did, like, a couple of Bleach and My Hero Academia characters.
They did some more JoJo characters.
Yeah.
They just did Giorno Giovanna.
Oh, so part 5. So that's... I don't... Why are they doing this? Are the online player base is, like,
They
not
probably
very
had an
good, or it's
agreement
not like money?
to release X amount of DLC prior to the game releasing, thinking it was going to be bigger, and they probably committed
Yeah.
this to their workforce or something.
Because it is 2 season passes for it. Yeah,
The last season pass only just recently finished up earlier this year.
That could
yeah.
be another reason as well. Yeah, actually pulling through on it. But yeah, good. It's dead, and so ends that piece of games.
Yeah.
I mean, there's that side of me that's like it's another showcase of why I don't think we're ready for digital, because things get taken down like this.
yeah.
And like, even if it's a bad game, if people want to buy it and check it out, like, sure, there's still the physical copies, but there's no version that has all the DLC characters on it, so they're just going to be lost forever.
Yeah, it's like you downloaded it and you exported it out or something. But
Yeah.
are we really losing anything
It-
with this?
Not
I think in
really,
40
but
years'
there's also
time-
that point.
It's going to be like, oh, remember Boruto's dad?
Yeah, no, because every now and then people do videos on old games like this, just to have
Yeah.
a fuck around and see what's going on and what like history of anime games or something, and it's just like an interesting time capsule.
I think it was Lythero that did a video on it being like, I played this so you don't have to. And that was the most enjoyment I've ever got out of that game, was watching someone else suffer
Oh,
through
I'll
it.
admit, I probably enjoyed it for about like 5 hours. Like it is cool seeing all like fire and like there's pretty destructible environments, and it does look good from a like the attacks look good, not the models themselves. But then after 5 hours, it's like, okay, bye, I'm out.
I remember when the game came out, there was something hilarious where Vegeta's final flash is minus on hit, so he can be punished for hitting you with his ultimate attack.
Yeah, the balance was very good, and there's obviously
Wow.
like obviously Goku's like one of the strongest characters as well.
I mean, that just makes sense. No one can beat
Yeah.
Goku.
What about Superman?
It's no Sailor Moon fighting game on the SNES, though. Was it SNES?
Yeah, it was a SNES, and that is a fantastic fighting game that has busted out the ass, which makes it even more enjoyable.
Well,
Right.
keeping on the theme of anime news, it looks like we've got the casting for Netflix's One Piece live action show that they're doing.
God, nothing against the cast, but I hate this. I hate that they're doing live action over there, and they also announced that they're going to be doing Yu Yu Hakusho live
Yeah.
action.
Who's Chris Pratt playing though?
I think they make everyone.
Stop. They're also doing, while we're on the news, I guess, the Cowboy Bebop live action, which also looks terrible.
Yeah,
I
so
think it
this
looks
is all
good.
just like following off from the Cowboy Bebop thing where Cowboy's happening. Now they've shown the One Piece cast, and they've also announced that they're going to do Yu Yu afterwards. And it's like, please
I
just
will be
stop. I
fair.
don't like when they turn anime into live
Yeah,
action.
it
things.
shouldn't be done.
It always sucks.
The Cowboy Bebop one does look the best out of all
But I
of
think,
them
yeah.
so far. Like, just transition-wise and everything looks
Oh.
kind of decent. But the cast and everything, I just don't think 90s anime especially just doesn't work in a live
And especially
action
like what they're
setting.
going to do for One Piece, like the source material is not finished. It is not going to be finished for some time. Like
I mean, even starting now, by the time they reach like season 4, there'd be so much material to work with where it's not a problem.
Yeah, but it's all
yeah,
filler.
well, that's the big question: is the live action show going to have live action filler episodes? And then I'm out. Like if they're doing live action filler episodes, that's it. See you later. Like I love One Piece; it's very good.
Yeah.
Live action, yeah.
I'm just
They might also be doing
I'm just
a
stuck on the
separate story
comment
altogether.
of turning 90s anime turning 90s anime into live action. I keep thinking like the Lion King transition of like 90s beloved children's movie to live action Discovery documentary gone
Well,
wrong.
Disney's
Oh,
doing
no.
that. Like the Aladdin live action movie came out, Beauty and the Beast, The Lion King.
Mulan was horrible.
Yeah, are we allowed to talk about Mulan?
No,
I
I am
remember
putting a
seeing
ban
that,
on that. I made it about a third of the way through with my girlfriend, and we both quit.
No, I watched it the whole way through. It doesn't get better.
We stopped before they even got a chance to disappoint us about there being no "I'll make a man out of you" song.
Yeah, definitely a bold choice
Aladdin
not to
one's
include that in the remake.
Yeah,
Aladdin was
Yeah.
okay, yeah.
The Beauty and the Beast one was okay as well.
yeah.
It's like they started
forgot
okay
they even
and they
did that.
progressively got worse.
I fell asleep in it, but I fell asleep in a lot of movies. But
The only movie I've
That's
almost fallen asleep on was Batman vs Superman.
I guess throwing into movies, Peter Jackson's studio as well, which is Weta Digital. Weta?
Yeah,
yeah,
Weta Digital.
Weta Digital.
They just got bought out by Unity for 16 billion, which is pretty crazy.
This is
Any
an odd
thoughts on that?
move.
It's very odd.
Good for Peter
What
Jackson.
do we
though.
think is the yeah, it's good for Peter Jackson, but it's not like it was starved for money.
Can't wait for him to just buy Wellington at this point.
Can't wait for Avatar 2 to be all done in Unity.
Unity.
Oh no.
Yeah,
Just comes out looking like Jump Force.
the context for it being that we have not we have, what am I saying? That we as New Zealand have Weta Digital, known for its work with Lord of the Rings, especially The Hobbit, less so, VFX good, movies bad, and Avatar, and then more recently some of the Marvel films. And
Yeah.
this Unity buyout seems to be trying to get access to Weta's proprietary tech for like different simulations and different physics models and things. So I can kind of see why they do it, but from talking to someone more knowledgeable on this than me, they're kind of confused by this move. So I guess we'll
Everyone
just
I've
kind of have
seen
to
talk about it is
see.
very confused about this. Because
Yeah.
even if it was trying to get Weta to use Unity for digital production, Unity doesn't seem that great for those purposes. And whenever you talk about digital production, you're always looking towards Unreal for it, which is
Hmm.
probably why Unity is trying to make it by buying out Weta for them to use it. But Unity would need to make some big advancements to be in the same league.
They are also, they're getting access to a lot of talent that maybe they're wanting exposure and feedback on as well, which might be valuable for them. So, yeah, you never know. But I don't think it's all that smart. But I am no businessman, so yeah. Okay, well, Patrick, you had a few things you wanted to talk about.
No, it was just one more thing as I was thinking of it. We've received official word here at the Fast Travel Lounge that Nintendo decided to release blinding blinding
Brilliant.
diamond, brilliant diamond, shining
Yeah.
Oh, I
pearl.
thought you were doing a bit.
BDSM.
Brilliant
Pokemon
Diamond Shining Pearl.
BDSM finally come
Yeah,
to a store near you.
yeah. Yeah, we received official word at the Fast Travel Lounge that they've actually decided to U-turn on their Switch release, and they're releasing on PC first, courtesy of a bunch of people that hacked it and found it leaked early.
Which people think is done in Unity, for the record.
I forgot about that little point. But following on from
Yeah,
that leak,
sweet
Nintendo
segue
has,
actually.
following on from the leak, Nintendo has also publicly announced that they're doing a 1.10 update release very soon. Like I think now, before reviewers get their copies, because that leaked version is definitely not finished.
Yeah, I'm sure it's unrelated to the fact that videos of their game have been all over the internet for like 24 hours
Yeah.
now.
Oh yeah, no, Nintendo would
Yeah.
have never announced this patch otherwise. It would have been all fine and
Well, they probably
dandy.
would have announced the patch. They would have just
think-
been like, "Oh, you've got a day one patch as well." They are doing a bit of damage control, but at the same time, it's like damage control they probably shouldn't have needed to do because it's obviously a 90% finished build they got out there. But I'm still very
Yeah,
curious
from
about
my
how those kind of
understanding,
things get out there. Is there someone just sort of, yeah?
I think
There's a
it's
good
usually
to fair
just someone
chance.
gets like a cart early and uploads it like from a mum and pop shop.
Okay.
yeah, or someone might have just taken one out of a shipping container
Yeah.
or something. You never know. I think the less we say about this is honestly probably the better, because like you said, it is an unfinished ROM. Apparently, it doesn't even have a title, intro video, or anything like that. It's just a black screen, and you click A and basically start the game. I've tried to avoid a lot of news about it, but
Yeah.
I mean,
overall,
it's definitely
yeah. No, sorry.
finished.
Finish your point, Josh.
yeah. Well, it basically all I was gonna say is it's definitely not finished. Every single game I've pretty much played on Switch where I have bought it and either just put it in a cart or I've pre-downloaded it has had a day one patch. Like, this is nothing unusual at this point.
All games have a day one patch now, and that's a sign of the times, I guess, and that's probably like a.
It's usually like though it's usually something along the lines of last minute bug fixes.
Yeah.
This is like adding in an entire post game and like the last 10% of the game they needed to get done.
Yeah.
It's really weird.
I always want
What
to
up?
hear what it's like behind the screens when this type of thing sort of happens, but at the same time, I like sort of watching potato chips get made. It would lose the magic, and if you really saw what was going on, you'd be like, you know what? Nah. But yeah, so it comes out next week.
I wanted to touch on that really quickly, in that, like, I joke about that it's out on PC. I'm definitely not in favor of games being leaked early. I don't think anyone here is. I think it's just kind of shitty in most cases, because usually the response from the developers when they find out that their games are leaked is just damage control,
Yeah.
because people just meme on it until it's actually supposed to be out. Like, it fucked with Last of Us 2 quite a bit,
Yeah, that's
having
right.
it leaked early,
Yeah.
or at least having the plot leaked. Obviously,
Yeah.
it wasn't the ROM of the game, but having the plot of a story-driven game leaked like a month or so in advance completely fucked them. And here as well, like, I feel bad for pretty much everyone involved, because if you're a developer working on that and you know it's not finished and you're working as hard as you can in probably some horrendous crunch time to make it ready, this is not going to help you. And if you
Especially
ship
for,
if you ship a day one unfinished game, say Cyberpunk 2077 or something, the reviews are still going to be that it's a shitty game. But for whatever reason, when it's an early, like when it's like a leaked game and it's not finished, it's somehow made worse. And I don't understand that. Like if it's day one and unfinished, it's bad. But if it's leaked unfinished, it's somehow even worse. It's like if we
It's
hadn't known about this leak and it was still released like this day one, I don't think the press would be any worse. But for some reason, it's just treated as worse because it's leaked early.
I think it's also a point of it. One, this is Pokemon, so there's going to be a much bigger outcry about it because Pokemon is like the biggest IP in the world, and also because this isn't Game Freak this time. This is another developer, so it could have been like people going, "Oh, this should never have been handed to anyone else. It should have been Game Freak's baby."
Yeah, just on that, I wanted to touch on that as well, that it is obviously the first main series or remake title that is being handled by a different developer, which
Yeah,
is Ilka.
very interesting how they decided that
So
as well.
It's
yeah, I
because
mean, it's interesting how they decided it, but it's just rough on Ilka,
Yeah.
which is just sad.
Yeah, no.
And obviously they needed time to flash a cart to flash a ROM, two carts, to ship all that, to get it out and out and about. So this could have been several months ago that this ROM was flashed to these carts.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, gold
it's-
standards are usually like 3 months ahead of release or something.
Yeah.
exactly. So they're effectively being punished for standard practices on a game that has had months of development since. So I think the less said about the ROM as a review probably
Yeah,
is
definitely.
better.
Yeah.
But it's
Also,
just
if this leak
unfortunate.
had never happened, we would have never known about this game being this state either, because like what's just happening now is Nintendo's pushing out this patch because it's about to go out to reviewers for them to play and get their reviews ready. So even in this case, without even without if a leak had never happened, we'd never see it like this because reviewers would be getting a complete game.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
The final thing I'll say, and then I do want us to move on, is that just it's crazy. Obviously, this is an infinitely more complex game than back in the day. But to just think about when, say, Pokemon Emerald comes out on a little GBA cartridge, what you see is what you get. There's no patching mechanism. There's no update mechanism. Any bugs that are left in that game, they're there forever. It's I don't know. It's just kind of one of those surreal, like, look how far we've come. That in the space of 20 years, we're at the stage where we can have a game already shipping to places where people can buy it and release, and the first thing that it does is like finish,
Fix itself.
like finish some of the development pieces. Anyway, I want us to move on. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
we've spoken enough about this. Yeah, chances are it'll come up again in a future episode, but yeah, for all the fun and memes we have for it, I think we're all collectively in agreement that overall it is a shitty situation for everyone. So we'll just have to, see what happens, I guess.
Keen to play it next week.
I've got the day off work.
So do I.
I took
took a day
Monday
off. Oh, I didn't do that, but I'll finish it over the weekend for sure.
Sweet.
Cool. Well, I guess we can move on to some of our bigger news items.
Hold
right?
on, there's one more small piece of news I just want to quickly get out of the way, and that is Street
Yeah, of
Fighter
course.
V's final edition. We swear it's please. It's releasing in December, where it's just Street Fighter V with every character and every piece of DLC on.
Does it have the words deluxe or ultimate in the title?
It is
Is it
called
produced by Todd Howard?
I believe it is called the Street Fighter V All Character Pack.
Is it the
So
Skyrim? Of
it's
Street
it's
Fighter?
not the ultimate edition or the deluxe edition.
It is not.
So there's going to be a future one.
It's called the Street Fighter 5 Champion Edition. All
Street
character.
Street
the
Fighter
one. Yes,
4
it's adding all
2.
character at the end of Champion Edition. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it releases December 9 for about $52 US. Just has everything post-released for the game all in one package. So if you haven't gone into Street Fighter V yet, now's the chance.
it come
Everyone
with
is
the
here.
Yeah, Champion
If it doesn't
Edition
come-
it had the game, and this is just like adding the latest season pass onto the end of it.
Right. So this like $52 will include the base game. Then?
Yes.
Okay. That's okay then. That's not too bad, especially considering the price of some Street Fighter games. That's actually pretty good.
But yeah, I guess now is the time we move on to a little bit bigger news. Actually continuing the trend of fighting games. In a recent Famitsu article, Sakurai was interviewed about the future of Smash Brothers, and he had some interesting takes about this. So I'm just going to read out some bullet points from this that are in the article. Sakurai says he is not thinking of a sequel. He's not thinking of it every time he gets. However, he can't say with certainty that Smash Ultimate is the end of Smash. He needs to think about whether he has to release a Smash game or not, even if he has to do something that would disappoint users. Which kind of makes sense because I don't know where you can go after Ultimate. I don't think you can bring back all those characters. You're going to have to start cutting and culling things. The third parties are going to have to go at some point as well, I feel like. I don't think Sora's coming back. I doubt Cloud and Sephiroth will come back. There's that game's built up so much that it's going to be a disappointment with whatever they do next.
So you're thinking there'll be like a smash exit, like the exit.
Yeah, exactly.
A Smexit.
Yeah, it's fine. I spoke about 10 minutes.
Sakurai says that he currently does not see a path where Smash can be produced without him.
Yeah.
The ego on this.
Wow. But the thing
though.
is, I believe him.
Yeah, me too.
Look, when it comes to getting all these brands together and all these deals, I honestly do believe it was mostly Sakurai just sitting there and being the madman he is.
Yeah. Just wakes up, kisses his wife on the cheek, and says, "You know what would make today great? If Minecraft Steve was in Smash Ultimate."
Smokes a cigar and just like puts it out on someone's chest. And it's like, yeah.
When Sakurai
Oh, absolute. Or Chris Pratt, or both.
Yes.
No.
Sakurai in Smash, voiced by Chris Pratt.
Oh,
Chris Pratt is already in Smash,
peak.
okay? The lovable character Mario has been a day one character since the beginning of the game.
Following on from Sakurai's very egotistical point, he also says, honestly, we did actually try leaving it to someone else, but it didn't go well.
Damn.
And if the last point is, if the series were to continue, I have to talk with Nintendo and have a debate on whether it will succeed or not. I must think about this topic very seriously.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's cool that he's giving it this much thought.
Yeah, no, like, we're just out of Sora's release, and there's already talks about whether another Smash will happen or not, and, like, just if it makes sense to do.
It'll come out with a new Switch Pro.
I mean, what it'll happen is that people will still play Melee and then compare it to Melee. Is it really worth doing? Worth Dulux?
If a Switch Pro does happen, I'd be fine with Smash Ultimate just re-releasing in 4K.
Shout out to the one Aussie and one Kiwi listener that got that joke.
Good Dulux reference. Need to paint my house.
Use Colorbond for the fences and the roof.
Oh my god. Shut up, Josh. Stick it in big news next week and fuck off.
All the neighbors come from the places around to see my deck. Anyway, let's move on from memes. Sorry, Seth, continue.
I'm so sorry, Seth.
Any thoughts about Sakurai talking about Smash like this?
Just let it be out. Like, Sora's been out for like a week. Just let everybody
have time to
he's been out for like a month, and he's already being grilled about the next game, which is very surprising to me.
Oh, it's
but
so
also very
surprising
not
to me.
surprising.
Like, the moment he said that this was the end of Smash and made it in no uncertain terms, for Smash Ultimate, rather, in that video where they announced Sora, at the moment he said that, I was like, this poor guy's inbox and tweets and everything are just going to be flooded already saying, what do you mean? Where's the next one?
But don't you know that if you play the trailer backwards and flip the view angle 45 degrees, you see a question mark at the end?
My favorite one was when he had purple and yellow pillows in his background, so people thought that meant Waluigi was confirmed.
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah, I saw that.
Dude, unironically, I'm so sad that Waluigi's not in Smash, but that's a discussion for
I'm
another
not.
time.
He's not even in any games.
What do you mean? He's such a good character.
He's a mirror of a mirror.
He's great. I love him. Anyway,
There's a great like fully serious article on like I think it's like the postmodern like analysis of Waluigi as a character through the lens of like some sort of societal norm. It goes
Well,
places.
so,
I need to read that.
so what you're trying to say is that we live in a Waluigi society.
No, we don't actually, because Waluigi was pointed down to being like a reflection of a reflection of a reflection, to the point where he doesn't have his own identity and is like this weird flux of a character that really shouldn't have any personality or exist.
So, Chris Pratt.
Is Chris Pratt playing Waluigi?
God, who knows?
Waluigi voices Chris Pratt. Who knew?
I always thought there was something funny about his mustache.
I've never seen Waluigi and Chris Pratt in the same room.
Just
I'll be
saying.
honest.
Yeah.
I think I've seen you guys in the same room.
I've never seen Chris Pratt in the same room as anyone else, honestly. He could be anywhere.
See, they say that Australia's not real and we're all voice actors. Are we all voiced by Chris Pratt?
Yes.
Man,
no.
he's got brain.
That's only in the dubbed version of this podcast for North America.
But do people listen? Do people watch sub version of
Real people listen to it on sub. Yeah.
Oh God, who's gonna caption our videos?
I guess we should probably move on to more news though.
Yeah, so real quick, I don't think we gotta say too much about this, but the Switch wins Christmas because the Steam Deck got delayed by 2 months.
Oh, that's
Can I
right.
get
Yeah.
lots
That's probably tied up to. Gabe Newell just grins at the camera. That's probably tied up in all the supply chain shortages that are affecting like every electronic
It
sector
is,
at the moment.
It is 100% that's what Valve said.
It's crazy. Just for transistors and like semiconductors alone, they think that it's going to be into like Q3 2022 before things start
and everybody's
resuming
worried that.
Yeah,
as
that's
like
and
more
everyone's
normal.
worried the company.
That's
will
so
start
insane.
to hoard things to stop this happening again. So.
Yeah, and it's the bloody toilet paper
Yeah.
shortage all over again. Like, there's enough if people buy what they
Yeah.
need, but instead it's like panic buying, but on like a
Yeah.
corporate scale. It's weird.
I mean, this isn't like the first company to have these issues, right? It's not going to be the last. So it's just something that we're going to have to accept for probably a number of years until they either build up another silicon manufacturer or whatever else they're missing and really just...
They've started doing that.
Yeah, I know.
I
they
think
definitely
it
have.
was mostly because of factories being hit by COVID.
It was,
That's how it
and especially
started.
they were in
It's a-
countries that weren't...
No, it's like a perfect storm. So you have some places that require a shit ton of water to like manufacture these semiconductors and transistors that are going through like droughts, like once in X number of year droughts. Before COVID, before everything else, it was just like drought weather. Awesome. Then you had COVID, which meant that you had to reduce the amount of people in your manufacturing for social distancing and things. So manufacturing output, which was already reduced, is now lower. And then you have the third impact of the switch from people wanting to maintain their businesses being open, having to invest in infrastructure that requires a lot of these componentries. That way their workers can work from home. So you have a demand surge. So you have like 3 or 4 things, which if any one of them was the only thing, it's fine. The market can adjust. But to have all 3 at once is just like kicking it while it's down.
Yeah, and obviously, spinning up a new silicon manufacturing process, they're billions of dollars to get one off the ground, and
Yeah.
they take a lot of time to get off the ground and very precise measurements and other bits and pieces for these machineries that need to be absolutely like exactly precise. So it's not an easy thing that's going to be fixed probably in the next year. It'll continue.
Yeah, I think it's there's someone in the US is scaling up production of this. I want to say HP or Intel, not sure. Could be someone else. Who knows?
TMSC I know
But-
definitely are as well, which is Samsung owns them I think now. But
But the timelines to get these new manufacturing facilities online is on the scale of like 2 to 5 years.
yeah, it's pretty crazy. Obviously, the demand will go down as people like, especially a lot of workforces buying these laptops, which use a lot of silicon, are forcing this. But as
They're also kind of one-shot sales.
Yeah.
Like once they have them, they're not like continuously.
Yeah, that's what I was
investing in
going to
this.
say.
It's kind of
right?
like
Once
buying and then
that
replacing.
initial demand is gone, there will be a lot less, and things will calm down. Especially with the the major console releases and everything. Similar thing. You're not going to have a guy buying a PS5 every year. Once these people have them, they will slow down.
Not a scalpel
Yeah.
or anything to say about anything like that.
We have to have people to buy them, right, in order to actually have scalpers to sell them. Right. So, yep, that's obviously silicon shortages and the Steam Deck being delayed. I know.
Yeah, we've burned through quite a lot of news.
have.
What's left?
I got one more piece of news I want to cover, and that's Elden Ring had a 20-minute gameplay showcase, and
Elden Ring.
also some YouTube influencers got early access to the network test. So there is a lot to cover with this game at the moment.
Test. Please give codes.
As a content creator, no, we're not going into that.
Does that know who we are?
Yeah, I feel shunned, honestly.
honestly, if you want to get a code, make a friend at Namco Bandai.
I would be.
Isn't it Bandai Namco?
It might be Bandai Namco. I always forget which way around that is.
I honestly have no idea. I think I've heard it that way. Anyway, fuck, that was such an irrelevant comment. I'm so sorry.
So, first off, if all you care about is whether the game is good or not, it is good. It is very good. So okay, that's it. See you next week. No, okay.
So for the people that stuck around.
Yeah, so for the people that stuck around past that,
hi mum.
It's basically Dark Souls 4, but it's a big culmination of every past like Souls game, Sekiro, Bloodborne. They've just FromSoft has basically taken the best bits of every game and just made it into this one giant super game. Most people I've seen talk about it are saying that the open world feels more similar to Dragon's Dogma than it does to Skyrim or Breath of the Wild. And the dungeons,
the
mini dungeons and
open worlds.
It's more like those games have like Breath of the Wild and Skyrim are very much environment driven, and you just go and explore, while Dragon's Dogma world has a lot of small encounters and fights scattered throughout the world map, and that's more what Elden Ring is going for. Fighting enemy, going off that as well, fighting enemies in the open world can replenish your flasks, because just trying to make a restore point at every bonfire seems a little insane when you have an open world like this. You might go like hours on end without a refill, so I guess that's their way of negating it.
Is it like a chance?
What was
that? Is it like a chance thing that you get a refill, or is it, you fight 10 enemies of this strength and you get a flask back, or if you fight like one enemy of a stronger strength you get a flask back kind of thing?
I think it's just like if you ever fight a big group of enemies, you'll get flasks back, but it's not guaranteed to be a full
so it's like how it works in Bloodborne, where it's like a drop.
Yeah. More like that, yeah. There are small dungeons in there, and big castles that feel like actual Dark Souls levels. And the small dungeons you can find in the open world can take you anywhere from 30 minutes to 60 minutes to complete. There's bosses out in the open world as well, and beating them gives you weapon skills. And also, those big boss fights in the open world actually interact with the environment in some capacity during the fight. You get horseback. Horseback completely changes the game, everywhere from traversal to combat. And enemies can knock you off horseback, but you can also knock enemies off their horses and get like big riposte attacks off them. Big, large enemies have multiple lock-on points now, so that's going to help you with like targeting specific areas of them, but also just generally helps with some camera issues that past games had.
Okay.
Sorry, there's a lot here, and I'm trying to burn through these as fast as I can.
Yeah, no, I watched the 20-minute video, and yeah, I mean, I agree with everything you're saying. I don't know.
Also, these notes are scattershot. Like I watched 3 people talk about it, so I would have liked to categorize these in like, hey, here's system stuff, here's gameplay stuff, but I'm just gonna go through how I wrote them.
I'll let you finish your notes, then I got one question for you at the end of that.
Sure thing. So there's a crafting system in the game, but they've made it extremely simple, and you can craft items that let you do co-op and invasions. Invasions are turned off by default because horses are disabled during multiplayer, so I guess they thought it'd be annoying to get kicked off your horse whenever you were being invaded. Some areas are super dark and you need a torch to traverse them properly, which is very intentional. There's a day-night cycle in the game, and some enemies are more active depending on the time of day. Like you'll have giant bats that are active during night. The PS5 version was the one that was tested. Seems to hold 60 FPS in performance mode most of the time. As long as you're not in combat or in a dungeon, then you can fast travel from anywhere on the map to any bonfire. There is now a weak point indicator for when you can repost.
Oh, cool. That'd be really
game-
good. Sorry, I didn't interrupt, but I was just,
Yeah.
as somebody who cannot repost at all because I have no hand-eye coordination skills at all. Finally.
Yeah, no, whenever you stagger enemies now, they have like this big glowing orange spot to let you know, hey, this is where you have to repost them.
Oh my god. Okay, sorry, I didn't interrupt it. Can I continue on?
Best quality of
you're
life
fine.
feature.
If you need to interrupt at any point to just say something, then
I can
go
finally
ahead.
get good.
Yes. The game feels and looks a lot like Dark Souls 3, sorry. There's two types of bosses in the game that are indicated by when you defeat them, you have foe defeated or great foe defeated. To activate the two-handed weapons in this, you have to hold triangle and press both bumper buttons, because triangle is now the interact button and X is jumping now.
Good.
You won't find many NPCs in the open world, but there are some that do give side quests. There's also ambient wildlife, like you'll find sheep and deer and stuff. I don't know why I felt the need to write that one down, but I did.
Can you kill them for sport?
You can kill them for crafting
Yeah, close
materials.
There we go. That's why
Is
you
it
put
the
it
Dark
in there.
Souls of
Sweet.
Monster Hunter?
Yep. No, it is the Dark Souls of Skyrim.
Having a stroke.
Wait, which edition?
The smart feature.
Yes. So this is a guess from Pat Stares At, but he's estimating that the network test is about 1/3 the size of 1/6 of the game's total map size. If that makes
Wait,
sense.
what? No,
It
it
doesn't
doesn't.
make
Try
sense,
that
no.
again.
Okay. So the area that you can see on the map in the network test is about, he's estimating is about 1/6 of the total game map. But
Okay,
all
yeah.
you can play of that is 1/3 of
Is
that
1/3.
map. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Blocking got a huge buff, actually. This one's really exciting to me. So if you successfully block an attack, there's a small window where you can press R2 after the block, and it does a new attack that does a shit ton of stagger damage and can actually stagger enemies down for a riposte.
That's good. Blocking felt
This one I
useless
actually liked the way it
whenever
was
I rolled.
worded in the video, so I wrote it down the way they said it. Jump attacks have been replaced by jump attacks.
Nice. I love that. That's a great improvement.
Finally, the change I've
I
been
know
waiting
exactly
for.
what they mean as well.
Yeah, so instead of jumping off a ledge and then doing a dropping attack, you can now jump with X and then do an attack that way.
Cool.
The jumping in all the Souls games has been so terrible up until this point.
Yeah.
So that is actually
Yeah, no, so
genuinely
now they
exciting.
have the Sekiro jump.
Excellent. 10 out of 10. That's already worth playing.
The game actually distinguishes between when you're in combat and not in combat now. If you're not in combat, then sprinting and weapon swings do not consume your stamina.
Yeah, I was
But-
wondering if that would be the change. That's like the Monster Hunter style combat.
Yeah, but also swinging, you cannot do like full combo swings. You just do like 1 or 2 swings with the sword while not in combat.
Just enough to break
I don't know why.
consumables and stuff
I don't
like
know why
pots and
that's the
whatnot.
case. Healing miracles heal partners, both NPC and players, so you can make a healer, a healer build for when you do co-ops, or like you could summon NPCs to help you in the game. Fall damage does exist, but I think it's mitigated by the horse's double jump, because
Yeah,
you can
that-
fall. Yeah, you can fall big distances, but I think as long as you do the horse's second jump right before you hit the floor, then you won't take any of the fall damage.
That was going to be my question of in the developer gameplay, they made a big point to show when you leap off a cliff with the horse and I guess do the horse double jump, you don't take any fall damage, but then at the same time only at certain spots at the bottom of a cliff does it look like you can instantly jump back to the top.
Yeah, no,
And-
there's a very specific aerial vents at certain spots in the map where you can do that. But
Yeah.
you don't have to go in the direction they want you to with those. So like you could go run into one, and then as you're flying upwards, you can do a 180 and try to land somewhere else.
Ah, okay. Because
Which
I
is
took
very
that as
interesting.
like a not like pre-rendered, but like a predetermined. Like you go to this vent and it takes you up to the top of this specific cliff. I didn't
Yeah,
realize
yeah,
it was
no,
just like a vertical boost.
I thought the same thing, but yeah, it is just like a vertical boost, and it does try to edge you towards something, but you can like steer it other directions.
That's cool.
Stealthing has been added, like the Sekiro stealth, where you crouch and walk slowly, so you don't have to like very slightly nudge the analog stick now to get your walk.
Do you have like ledges
For
and stuff like that,
backstabs?
like ledge grabs that you can sort of do like in Sekiro?
I didn't see any of that, unfortunately.
Okay.
I've just seen crouching walks. Unfortunately, in the open world, you can actually abuse the boss AI and get them stuck in geometry and kill them with range attacks, which is a bit unfortunate. But that's a cheap way to kill things if you're having trouble.
I count that as a Bethesda
Yeah.
bug. Sorry, Bethesda feature.
So a big thing they're doing is that you can do weapon skills now. So and you can attach weapon skills to different weapons. Some weapon skills don't attach to every weapon, but at the same time, there's some weapons that have unique weapon skills, and these are things like their own weapon specific spells. Like one of the ones I saw is that they have Virgil style summon swords, where it summons, it makes 4 magical swords appear around you, and then they like machine gun fire into enemies. Like Dark Souls 1, you can level up at any bonfire now. Again,
Ah, cool.
equipment burden is tied to your strength stat now. Power stance is back, and it just works this time by just equipping the same type weapon into your free hand. Weapons now have 4 to 6 hit combos on the R1 button, and each swing is a unique animation now instead of just going left, right, left, right. Bows are good. They're just good now. Worth using. Spells are tied to your intelligence, while miracles are tied to your faith. And spells can be comboed now. Faith builds are looking to be very strong. There's lots of good attack miracles. Goofy, gimmicky weapons and goofy, gimmicky enemies exist in the game, so that'll be a lot of fun.
Did they pay Disney for that?
Wow.
I can't do a goofy sound. Like, yeah.
There is a new type of respawn point that are usually found near boss doors now as well, so you don't have to do the Dark Souls run through a level to get to the boss.
Oh yeah.
That's okay.
I feel like that was part of the challenge.
So that was sort of like I'm warming up.
Double KOing bosses counts as a win.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Okay. Nice.
Invaders have an item on their hotbar now that is a quick travel to the host because of just how big the map is. They kind of need it. But it's also kind of very quick to use, so it can be used to escape an encounter against the person you're invading if they're getting the upper hand against you.
Oh my god.
Well, hang on. I thought you said it travels to the host.
It does. Like,
Wouldn't
it
it
travels
not do anything?
It travels near the host. Sorry, like
So
it
if you're
puts
right
you like
next to them being like comboed, you can just throw it down.
Yeah. So
I see.
it puts you like a predetermined distance away, but it puts you like close to them.
I hope that gets disabled when you're in a certain range of them, because that's kind of bullshit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it probably will. Summoning NPCs is only available at certain locations on the map, usually indicated by a new piece of UI on the screen.
No, it's just sometimes.
There's no major boundaries in the co-op. The only one is that is for places that you need a horse to enter. But there's no invisible walls or fog doors or anything blocking you, so you can like rock up together in the open world, go find a dungeon, go into the dungeon and beat it, and just keep rolling through it with a friend.
So my multiplayer now has multiplayer. Very nice.
Oh.
Yes, it is not a pain in the ass anymore. Invaders also get a waypoint on their compass that points towards the host, but hosts do not get one pointing towards invaders because that would give them an edge. There are signposts in the worlds that are used as like summoning signposts, where it's supposed to be like this central location where you can go and find like people's summon signs. You can still place them anywhere in the world, but this just gives you like a central location to easily find people to play with. And there's a guard break kick that is PvP exclusive and only while you're using barehanded, and it is very strong and instantly puts people into a repose state.
I wonder if they're still going to have that Dark Souls dial-up invasion experience where you'll hit someone in front of you, you won't hit them, but then they'll dial-up glitch, teleport everywhere, they're behind you, and backstab you for all of your health.
And then
the thing I've seen is that people can't actually be comboed. You can, like, usually there'd be a thing where, like, if you're doing R1 hits, you could hit them and their hit stun would be long enough for, like, the second and then the third hit to go through. But in Elden Ring, you can only get one attack off like that. You can't combo people in PvP. But yeah, those are all my points for the Elden Ring.
I have 1 point on Elden Ring, and it is why the fuck did they limit it to 60 FPS on PC in this current day on this current year?
You can't see
what the fuck, guys?
24 frames a second. You're fine.
No.
Shut it. I have had enough of you.
Console gamers, right?
60 frames per second is not enough.
you for those that use two eyes to view, that's 48 frames a second. Let's,
Still not really close to 60. Classic entitled gamers.
But yeah,
but for those with the third eye, it would start looking really laggy.
that also does.
I have opened my
60
chakra,
FPS
and now,
news.
now games look like they lag to me.
Yeah, and now Elden Ring looks like shit.
Everyone can start making it apart.
But yeah, that 60 FPS news does actually kind of like baffle me because the new gen consoles are trying to push towards 120 FPS,
Which is like,
and then there's FromSoft here going, "Oh, hey, we're aiming for 60."
I mean, like, I get that if the consoles have a limitation to run this, right? But like, they've done it for every single freaking Souls game that they've brought to PC so far. All of them has been a 60 FPS, except for I think the first one, which was 30 FPS. And every single one of them has had a mod to remove that cap.
Yeah,
Within like 4 days. This is going to have the exact same fucking thing. Just uncap it.
The developers are just relying on the community to figure out how to uncap their frame rates at this point.
Like
they did. They had to rely on them to figure out how to do 60 FPS.
They had to rely on them to completely fix Dark Souls 1 so that it was playable on PC. So, I don't know, man.
Playable on console. The 2 frames.
Yeah, no, it wasn't.
Yeah, love that. Oh no, I'm dead again. Oh fuck, poison. God, I need to go back and finish that.
Yeah, but that's playable from gameplay, not from, hey, I can't load this game. Why is it running at 6 frames per second? What is this thing called Games for Windows Live? Please, God, no.
Yeah. Isn't that just the middleware between that and Uplay?
It may as well.
I'm gonna be sick.
At least Games for Windows Live had the decency to die.
And then Origin pops up, hey, you need to update.
Yeah.
Excuse me, it's now called the
shit.
EA desktop application.
My favorite part of buying a game on Steam, thinking, oh, at least I don't have to use Origin, and then you launch it, and Origin's like, hello.
Heard you talking shit about me, motherfucker.
But yeah, there is actually so much more to talk about the Elden Ring network test, but I wanted to keep it very light on actual gameplay spoilers and just go about mechanics and features.
I think we'll probably talk much more heavily about what the network test really sort of looks like next week as it opens up and expands to more people, right?
Yeah, definitely. Like when people are like actually allowed to like stream it and show full lengths of gameplay instead of like sliced up gameplay chunks.
Mm-hmm.
Once my uncle gets us a code.
Thanks,
I don't know about you, but if I'm dealing with Bandai Namco or Namkai Bondo,
Namkai
whatever you want to
Bandai.
call it, I'm pretty sure it's Namco. I'm pretty sure it's Bandai Namco, but call it modulants. I'm having a stroke. No, I think if I was trying to dig a code out, it'd be for Rise for PC. At least that's not capped to 60 FPS. But no, it's I'm pretty keen to give it a go, actually. I think it looks quite good, and the magic looks better than ever, so I'm keen.
Yeah, the game looks fantastic. It's the most excited I've been about any of these FromSoft Souls games. Honestly, like I love Bloodborne. Like that Victorian era, Gothic Victorian style really got to me.
Yeah, I really
So-
like
Yeah,
Bloodborne
Bloodborne's
too.
great.
There
Sekiro
hasn't
was
been a
also
Bloodborne 2, Patrick.
What?
There hasn't been a Bloodborne 2, don't worry.
Bad joke.
Oh fuck! Oh man,
Yeah.
that's what I get for recording it. What's almost 2 a.m. New Zealand time. Man, that's terrible.
Yeah. So yeah, just Elden Ring looks fantastic. Like that year-long hiatus of no news was, people were being really insane about that, but I'm glad that the game's coming out and looking really good, and like probably game of the year next year. Calling my shot.
That's not Pokemon's Legend Arceus, even though I
Yeah.
have no intention
That's
of
not
getting
Temtem's release on Switch.
Xbox. You got it on Xbox.
it.
Oh fuck!
No.
Sorry,
Wait.
sorry, Xbox.
Didn't you hear Temtem's coming out on Xbox next week? It can't be game of the year next
Oh,
year.
Yeah,
It's game of the year every year. Right?
to wrap up
But,
the new segment, unless you want to have something more about Elden Ring.
No, that's about it I've got on Elden Ring, but I hear there's something going on for Xbox. Do you want to
Yeah.
talk us through that?
Yeah, so just off the back of the Temtem will definitely be announced at this, cough, cough, cough. There is, for anyone that doesn't know, Xbox is 20 years old now. It's the 20th year for Xbox. They're doing an anniversary stream on the 16th of November, and there are currently a whole bunch of events in the Master Chief Collection for Halo and other bits and pieces like that. So I'm thinking we can just talk very briefly around potentially what we want out of this for this anniversary stream.
Perfect Dark. I want to see that new Perfect
That
Dark
was so
game.
quick.
Yeah, no,
It
he
instantly
preempted
entered
you.
my head, and I needed to see it before it left.
Yeah. No. Okay. Well. Yeah. All right. That would be good.
Crystal Dynamics is apparently helping Microsoft work on that, so I want to see what they're doing now that they're past Tomb Raider and Marvel.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see them get past something that is Marvel for sure.
I want to see like.
I'm looking forward.
Yeah.
So go.
Yeah, no, just hyping up about Fable 4 whenever that comes out. Big fan of the Fable series.
Oh yeah, no, my uncle will get us a
good,
good for that too.
fantastic,
Don't worry.
yeah. Is it?
Yeah, yeah, it's good.
Does it still exist?
Yeah, that's what I want as well. Like I really want Forza Motorsport news after the fun I've been having with Forza, and I would love some Fable news. Yeah, I would love to see at least a rough date or at least a gameplay trailer of what the new Fable looks like. Obviously, being that they now own Bethesda as well, there's a strong chance that there could be some Starfield news here as well, which would be very interesting. And then I'm hoping that they just really kind of go all out and just add a whole bunch of things to Game Pass that are going to be worth playing, which, you know, every time they do one of these events, they kind of throw a few games in the Game Pass.
But it's like games.
And say, like, by the way, this is available day
Yeah,
one,
it'll
or
be like
available now.
really good games as well. It'll be like Final Fantasy VII Remake. How we're going home, but Final Fantasy 14, we're going
imagine.
home, boys. X-Bros, we've won.
I mean, there's a good to fair chance they could add Final Fantasy 14. It is coming to Xbox at some
Yeah,
point, they did say.
It's coming.
So
it's Temtem.
I'm
They just haven't said when.
yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
They're waiting on Temtem to test the waters.
One of these days,
One of
man.
these days,
One of these
man.
days.
X-Bros, we're going home.
Just stay strong for
Yeah.
a bit longer there. We got this.
There's actually one more thing I'd like to see, and this is definitely much lower chance, but I'd love to see a new Killer Instinct.
That'd be
No,
cool.
that'd be alright. When Soul
Yeah,
comes,
that'd be alright
Soul
with
comes
that.
out.
The one big thing I think is definitely gonna come though, because you know, for people that don't know, Halo obviously released with the Xbox, so it is the 20th anniversary of Halo as well. They've got to show something for Infinite, whether that's another gameplay trailer or just something else, a multiplayer beta announcement test or something. There'll be something for it for sure.
It's like 3 weeks.
So-
3 weeks away though. I'd be quite disappointed actually. Like it's.
I mean,
Yeah.
they could be showing the multiplayer co-op or announcing a date for that to be
Yeah,
released,
that's
as
why
well
it's
as
not
like
released.
RTX implementation, because that's not coming on release.
Yeah.
So This is
Maybe the ray tracing update will get announced.
yeah, the RTX,
Yeah.
like I just said, yeah. So that's this 20th anniversary stream will be the 16th of November, and I don't remember the exact date Infinite's being released now. It's been pushed back so many times, but yeah, it is only a couple of weeks
I think
away.
it's like the 6th of December, 6th or 7th.
Something like
Yeah,
that, yeah.
it's quite
So
soon.
it's not too far away. So I'm curious to see what it is. It could even be like a hey, there's a pre-release for people for as part of this if you've supported Xbox for X amount of weeks. Like you have no idea. So I'm curious to see what it's going to be, and yeah, excited.
Keen.
Cool.
And on that note, we'll hopefully make sure that this episode actually goes up before then. That way people listening are reminded of it rather than us telling them about it when it's already happened. But no, we should be on track for that.
Yep.
It sounds like that brings us to the end of the news section, though. Lots of good stories in there. Should we take a quick sneak peek at next week? Anyone want to bring up what they might be having in plan for the next week?
Yeah, sure. I'll jump in first. Pokemon comes out next Friday, as we've discussed many times, but I'm definitely day one preloading that. I'll definitely be getting on that ASAP. And I'll also try back, and because Halo Infinite's coming out, I'm going to go back and play the entire Master Chief Collection. Probably not going to do it on Legendary difficulty because I'd throw myself off my balcony. I just don't feel like having a hard day at work, coming home and forcing myself to get through the Legendary. I might still do it on the hard or something. God forbid I do it on easy, but yeah, that's it for me.
Cool. Anyone else got something exciting? I know, obviously, Josh, you're probably also in the same boat with BDSP coming out next week.
I mean, yeah. So we'll probably be recording just again before that releases. So I'll be just more hyped for that. I have yet to still actually play Age of Empires 4 despite being super hyped for it. So I'll probably actually give that a go, as well as I've actually been doing Legendary on Halo. So I've got to wrap up Halo Reach this week. That's the last one I've got to do. And yeah, that's probably it so far that's on my calendar to do, other than a bit more Forza Horizon 5. So yeah. Seth?
So I don't know about the next week, but Josh, if you want to join me, we got about 2 hours to do the Final Fantasy 14 Cross Dragon Quest event before it goes away.
What now?
Yeah, right now.
I'm not doing
We
that.
got two. It ends in 2 hours, so I'm going to be hopping onto Final Fantasy 14 and doing that
As
to get my
much
slime
as
hat.
I would absolutely love to do that, it is midnight. That is not happening.
It's a gaming hour.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else you got planned next week, Seth?
I'll definitely have finished Jack X by then. Maybe I'll have finished Final Fantasy Tactics by then, and I'll get to actually talk about it on this podcast. But yeah, I don't have any like actual definitive plans at the moment.
And I guess last but not least, our host Patrick.
I don't want to commit to anything because chances are I'll still be playing some combination of Deep Rock Galactic and Forza Horizon 5. But I have picked up Rift Breaker and Road 96, and I intend to play one of those between now and next week, at least just for some sort of variety, so that I'm not just talking about the same two games every week. But we'll see. I'm not going to commit to it, but might try and play one of those and see where we get. But that is what. That is what everyone has to look forward to next week. But this sadly brings us to the end of what is a pretty chocker episode 2. Thank you everyone for listening this far, if you still are. Yeah, we look forward. We've loved having you in the lounge. Unfortunately, the lounge is time to close, so we'll be signing off from here, and we'll see you guys next week. Any signing out comments from the other three?
Goodbye, everyone. Make sure that your cat pisses in the dirt box.
Nothing from me other than to plug our socials. So if you haven't already, go follow us on YouTube, Spotify, wherever you're listening, and we'll catch you next week.
And just remember that if you're going 200 fastest an hour to kill the police on the fucking moon.
I really regret asking for closing comments, but I guess that'll have to do. Thanks everyone. See you next week.